خالفت أقوال الشيوخ فأنتم.
How's everybody doing? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Just want to make sure everything's functional. You guys can hear me well. Sorry, we're pretty late. Not at home today. I apologize. I'm outside. Just posted up at a random coffee shop to do this reaction. We'll get right into it, inshallah. Let the live populate a little bit and we'll get right into it. You see, there's a lot of people in the background. A lot of people walking back and forth, man. But it's all right. We gotta work with what we have, right? Holy mustache. You guys just over analyzing my face all the time. Bismillah. You guys see? There's a virtue in waiting for my streams. The production quality is going downhill. We aren't seeing that many debates from you, collabs or YouTube streams. I've been doing a lot of, well, not debate YouTube streams, but I've been doing reaction YouTube streams. You want me to debate myself or something? No debates. Who is there to debate? I could debate myself if you want me to debate myself. I got you, man. Let me debate myself. Did I dye my hair? No. I didn't dye my hair. We're gonna do this reaction tomorrow. I was gonna do it today, but this dropped. So we're gonna push that debate to tomorrow. We're gonna do a live analysis of that debate. Scrap that, bro. Your quality is good, and you've been shaking Christendom. Do not offer yourself to debate anyone from Trinidad's crew unless it's a big fish. Yeah, I'm always down for debate. I'm always down for debate. That's not a problem. But there's no one to debate. They don't want to debate me. You guys already know that. Jay Dyer retired from debates, from religious debates. He retired. There's no more. That's what he said, at least. Can you explain Zechariah 12:10 is about Jesus? No, Zechariah 12:10 is most definitely not about Jesus. It's about the end time wars, the nations coming up against Jerusalem, and a special Jewish figure will die in battle by being pierced by the sword, and his death will bring mourning from the Jewish people. Got the fresh lineup, I see. Oh man, it's been long overdue, man. debate Agan. So I offered Agan a debate. He doesn't want to debate. Second of all, why the hell would I debate Agan? For what? Why would I debate a channel smaller than mine? You guys have to understand the politics behind everything. You don't just debate anybody. Like, for example, recently you guys seen that Cora debated Sig, right? Who's seen that one? Who's seen that one? So Cora made a mistake. She debated Sig. And not only did she debate Sig, but she went on his panel. Now Sig has been milking the hell out of that. He's been making videos on it every day. Sig is a nobody. He's been forgotten in the dustbin. You guys understand? And while Cora is blowing up, she shouldn't go and, give these nobodies, forgotten, dead, dry toast apologists a name. They're dry toast. They're dead. They're forgotten. Nobody cares about them. Lock in, man. Lock in. Assalamu alaikum, Bano. What is your favorite surah? And can you recite it? Oh, man. My favorite surah is Surah Maryam. By far, by far, by far. Predictions on Morocco versus Brazil. Morocco's going to win 2-1. Morocco's going to win 2-1. Are you a hafid? Of the Bible, maybe. Maybe of the Bible. But yeah, guys. Alhamdulillah, channel's been doing better than ever. Channel's been doing good. Videos are performing amazing. Live streams have been very good. I took a break from the debate live streams because honestly, they've burnt me out. And the guests are so trash. The guests are so brain dead. They're so low IQ. They've kind of like burnt me out. So I'm just taking a break for now from them. I've been liking the reaction live streams a little bit better. But the guests they're just so retarded. Thoughts on the mustard seed dilemma? I think it's a good argument to show the hypocrisy of the Christians, but it's not an argument that I would run to kind of disprove Christianity. What's the fastest way to refute the Trinity? Count with me. 1 chicken, 2 chicken, 3 chicken. 1 God, 2 God, 3 God. It's that simple. You don't need any philosophical mumbo jumbo. Just count. Just count. A 1 chicken, a 2 chicken, a 3 chicken. Three gods. But yo, guys, I got a video dropping tomorrow, inshallah. Funniest thing ever. This Indian uncle. It's not even religious. Indian uncle came to the Dawah booth yesterday, and he just started talking about how we should ban all immigrants. Get rid of Indians. Like Indian guy with a fat accent. Let's get rid of all immigrants. Talking about how Europeans are his masters. White Europeans make the world a better place. And I just sat there laughing at him. I'm like, Uncle, you're an immigrant yourself. Like, yeah, ban all immigrants except for me. I'm a good immigrant. I'm a good goy. I'm a good lapdog for my European lords. It was the funniest thing. And then he rage quit at the end and left. I'm dropping the video tomorrow. Funniest thing ever. Like, good goy. He's such a good goy. When you come in Michigan, I'm coming to the US in a couple months, inshallah. Stay tuned for that. Assalamu alaikum, brother. You should come to BC for some dawah soon. Lots of Christians preaching from downtown. World Cup is held this year. I'm already doing that in Toronto. I went yesterday. It was busy. Inshallah, I'm going to go later today. The Christians who blacklisted Libiano should also be blacklisted by Muslims. Right. That's right, man. But remember, the blacklist is just an excuse not to talk to me. So they can continue running their low-tier arguments on people who don't know how to respond. Well, I reward you the highest rewards. You're inspiring new and educated young apologetics from Ethiopia. Jazakallah khair. Wa iyyak. Barakallahu feek, Habibi. Thank you for the support. Debate West Huff or Deconstruction Zone. Atheist. I've tried, but West Huff wants to act like he's too busy. He's acting hard to get. تعالى الله على إفك النصارى وسيسأل كلهم عما افتراه من قصيدة ابن القيم. It's a beautiful one. It's a beautiful nasheed, or not nasheed, sorry, poem. Notice how they delayed the debate, where Trinity Logic rage quit and walked up to last. The host was debating him. Yeah, when are they gonna release that? I've been waiting for that one. All Africans hate watching Morocco. Robbed AFCON. Don't care. Don't care. Morocco for the win, man. What do you think of the recent controversy with Wahhabism online? What recent controversy, brother? What are you talking about? Wahhabism. How does it feel to win? Feels normal. Feels normal. Debate Q-Top. I've already talked to him twice. He's impossible to talk to. He's impossible to talk to, man. He gibberates too much. Anyways, should we get started? Should we get started, guys? Let's get at least 700 people here before we start. Make sure you like the stream, share it. Let's get at least 700 people before we start watching and reacting. He said your argument presupposes that your arguments are intelligible. Yeah, and it's just gibberish. Like, there's no point in talking to Q-Tip. Are you a hafiz of the Bible? Yes. Can you do a video someday discussing why you don't believe in Christianity? I do a video on that every day. Don't I do a video on that every single day? Isn't it clear? Every day I make a video on why I don't believe in Christianity. Dang, we got an Egyptian guy in the background. You guys hear that Egyptian in the background? Huh? Come on, guys, let's get to 700 people before we start the live. Can you catch Shadi Khan in Canada? Well, he loves to talk a lot but runs from the basic guard. I've been trying to catch him. I just don't know where he is and when he's in Canada or not. Name 5 of your favorite Islam scholars in the last 100 years. Name 5 of my favorite Islamic scholars in the last 100 years. Well, I love the Saudi scholars. Sheikh Albani. I love Sheikh Salih Fawzan. Sheikh Uthaymeen. There's many more. I like what's his name? What's his name? The one in Morocco. The one in Morocco. Why is his name slipping from my mind right now? Oh, Saeed Kamali. Oh, man. When I was in Morocco, I was trying to catch him in his mosque in Rabat. I was trying to catch him, but he's always out. He's always out. He's amazing, man. I always listen to him. Abdul Razak Al-Badr. Yep. A really good one. W. McDowah, man. McDowah. Okay. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Appreciate. May Allah bless Roger, our brother. The quality of your work and your impact is as it always has been. Allahumma barik. You're an invaluable asset to us. You need to take care of yourself first and foremost. Appreciate all the love, my brother. Thank you, my Libyan brother from another mother. Appreciate it, bro. Always showering me with kind words. Please come to DT on Monday, Unc. Inshallah, I'm gonna come. Assalamu alaikum. Do you have an emergency inhaler to use? Yes, it's in my pocket. I normally keep one close by, so take a pump. It'll help with cough. Yeah, I don't need it right now, but yeah, I got it. Hope you're feeling better. I'm recovering as well. Yeah, I'm feeling better. Recovering. Can Muslim guys boycott debating these Christians? Christians don't want to debate with you. Christians boycott you, disrespect someone insulting the Prophet, dies debating insulting the Prophet in the Quran. Amen. Unfortunately, like I mentioned before, everybody wants to be Superman. Thoughts on Avery's explanation to John 17:3? It's worse than the dookie that I took last night in the toilet. It's trash, heretical, ad hoc, garbage. Terrible. Well, you know what's coming to mind? That clip. It's like, what's 3 times 1? What's 3 times 1? Oh man, this guy's terrible, man. Are you going to do a stream where Muslims can come and ask questions? Yes. I'm planning to do that soon. You modifies true God, not the Father. 2 plus 2 is 4, and 3 plus 1 is also 4. Okay. That's just modalism. All right, let's start. Here we go. We got the term sulate here. Bismillah. Wanted to let you know that you helped me a lot to show my wife the truth. She was a Christian. Now she worships only the true God. Amen. It's from Allah. Thank you, brother. Somebody asked me earlier, I just lost a comment, on what I think about Muslim women giving dawah in public. I'm not qualified to speak on that. I don't know. I haven't looked into the matter myself. So I'm not allowed or qualified to give you an opinion on that. This is a matter of jurisprudence, and it is not my place to tell you. I don't know, to be honest. Don't ask me, ask a qualified scholar. Okay, let's start, inshallah.
Christians used to allow.
Why can't I hear, man? The heck? Okay.
Christians used to allow for the unalivement of heretics. They used to allow for the unalivement of Jews, as I already gave you the references for. You're not engaging with that.
We're not people for abandoning their religion, because that's what Islam teaches.
Your Christian saints like Augustine and stuff make arguments that if the Torah is preserved, then it's preserved in all recessions, including the Septuagint.
Why were the Jews flourishing? Why were the Jews flourishing in Spain and persecuting the rest of Christian Europe?
I'm a Christian. What Muhammad did was evil. He's not a good moral example. He should be thrown out because he's actually causing all sorts of harm. We see this happening in Iraq.
You're appealing to emotions.
So you think it's okay to for the 9-year-old? I just want to be clear.
Is Christianity better for society than Islam?
I obviously say yes. And when we assert that, we have to, I'm hoping today we can touch on several topics, because there are several things to look at when we're looking at these different religions and knowing which is going to produce better results. And that's the key here, which is going to produce better results. So whole well-rounded thing here. So we're not talking about which we think is more moral. We're not talking about which we think is true. We're talking about which religion is going to produce better societies. And in terms of several metrics, Christianity just outperforms Islam on many, many, many important things. So I will start with 3. I'm hoping to get to more because there's a bunch of things. So I would say, first of all, Islam allows and promotes child marriage. That is extremely bad for society. That leads to harm done to girls, harm to their offspring, which leads to inferior societies. Islam also allows cousin marriage. Christianity, because of our ecclesiology, has gotten rid of cousin marriage. So that means that we have produced better societies because more cousin marriage leads to lower IQ, more birth defects, and actually less economic prosperity. And the third thing I'll bring up is actually the practice of polygyny. Islam does allow polygyny, but polygyny actually deteriorates society. If you don't know, polygyny is specifically, it's a form of polygamy where it's one man and multiple women. So polygamy can be one.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Let me repeat that again. Okay. Oh boy. So Michael Jones from Inspiring Philosophy is a closeted homosexual. Sorry to say, sorry to break it to you. Okay. He is actually a closeted homosexual. Okay. That is the truth. He is a liberal secularist. He's not into women. And he is promoting this idea that society is better because of Christian value. But this is something that I always bring up. What conditions satisfy for a value to be considered a Christian value? Is it because the value or the demographic that practices this value is constituted by predominantly Christian individuals? Is this what satisfies something to be a Christian value? Or what is it because it comes from Jesus' teachings? Does that satisfy it being a Christian value? Is it because Christians have moved away and started to act upon and practice this value that makes it a Christian value? What makes something a Christian value? Okay, that is the question here. And this question needs to be answered, because if he's arguing against polygamy and Christianity affirms the Bible, then the Bible is not against polygamy, it is for it. If he's arguing against cousin marriage and Christianity affirms the Bible, then the Bible is not against cousin marriage, it is for it. So how exactly is anti-polygamy or monogamy and anti-cousin marriage a Christian value? What makes it Christian? What makes it Christian exactly? Okay. This is something that Inspiring Philosophy will have a hard time answering. Let's continue. But of course he's arguing this because he's closeted homosexual.
One woman, several men, but polygyny is one man, several women. So those 3 things are 3 ways in which that Christianity has done away with through trial and error, through understanding of the natural world, through understanding of how we operate as a society, which has produced far better results. So dive in.
Who wants to begin? Okay, yeah, so when it comes to the 3 critiques, I think obviously this needs some time to dissect. It's very general. There's a lot of data that we need to process. But to begin, what we're trying to compare is obviously what we're establishing is that we have Islam, we have Christianity. If implemented in society, which one yields the better results, right? In terms of moral values that we can both agree upon, right? Now, when it comes to the first one, you said, not only did you say that when we have Muslims that would practice child marriage, you specifically said that Islam allows it. So I want to really focus on that. Where did you get the understanding from that Islam allows child marriage, given the fact that the Messenger, peace and blessings upon him, explicitly says in an authentic narration, "La darar wa la dirar," no harm, no reciprocating harm. So the Messenger already explicates and says that when it comes to any relationship, if there is harm involved, it's going to be impermissible. So how do you get around that? Now, if you're going to argue that a more fundamentalist approach of the Quran and the Sunnah would allow for this, rather than a traditional approach, that's a different argument. But you specifically said that Islam allows for it. So what would be the evidence for that?
So yeah, great. So yeah, let's start with that. So with regarding the harm principle to start, that's obviously interpreted differently. Because, for example, Sahih al-Bukhari allows for the killing of apostates, but that's going to harm them, but you're not going to throw that out. You're going to allow self-defense wars in Islam, but that's going to cause harm to invaders. So that's obviously going to be interpreted differently. The two main ways we know that Islam allows and promotes child marriage is with the Quran says that Muhammad is the pattern of conduct, but he married Aisha when she was 6 and consummated the marriage when she was 9. That is a child. There's no biological way that could not be a child. Therefore, it allows child marriage. And then, of course, Surah 65:4, which does allow girls.
Beautiful. Do you guys want to jump in, or should I continue?
Yeah. You've been shaking your head. What did you want to say?
Well, I mean, I have many things to say. First of all, Islam does not in any way, shape, fashion, or form support any idea of pedophilia or underage marriage. Islam does not support anything like that at all. The Quran gives an age of marriage. It is very clear. It gives something called an age of marriage. And that age of marriage is when you reach puberty, in essence. Okay.
Puberty. So puberty is when you're mature. Has a 9-year-old ever completed puberty?
Sure.
Really? According to what?
Sure. I mean, this is life. These are things that happen.
Yeah. When you look at, for example, the classical text that he quoted, Bukhari himself has.
Okay, so again, this has to be explained. This has to be explained because it's not enough to say that Islam puts marriageability at puberty. That must be further explicated. Okay? A better articulation of that is that Islam allows for marital sexual relations when a female human being is marriageable, i.e., is able to handle sexual intercourse, and there are signs of maturity that she's going through, such as wet dreams, pubic hair, the growing of the breasts, hips, the shaping of the hips, and so on and so forth. Okay. If you just say puberty, then what that could entail is that unless she gets her menses, her cycle, then she's not marriageable. This is false, because it could be the case that a female goes through all of these markers of pubescence and yet has not reached her menses or her cycle. Is that understood? So I think Uncle there, I don't know him, never seen him before, but Uncle needs to explicate that more and disambiguate what that means, because just saying puberty is going to be a little bit misleading. Let's continue.
The narration, why Aisha radiallahu anha refers to herself as a woman, right? So if you wanna like internally critique our sources regarding what it says, regarding when the marriage happens.
You say internal or external?
Internal.
I'm not. This is external critique. This is definitely external critique.
How do you come to conclude that the marriage was at 6 and 9?
Because that's what your sources teach.
Beautiful. But
then you're also saying she's not a child, and I'm saying that's just incompatible with reality.
Okay.
There is no such thing as a 9-year-old woman. The hips on a girl do not develop till the ages of 15 or 17. Puberty is not complete. There is no possible world where it's biologically the case a 9-year-old could be anything but a child.
Okay. Would you say that in order to be able to conceive and bear children, etc., you would have to have gone through some of the stages of puberty?
You would have to go through all the stages of puberty. So, for
Okay, good,
example,
good.
there was a
Wait.
cross-sectional study done that actually showed that girls that were
You
15
see?
and under had 5.
You see, now IP is capitalizing on Unk's mistake. Now IP is capitalizing on his mistake. You see how he said you have to go through all stages of puberty, whatever those may be, right? That's Unk's mistake. Unk made a mistake saying that. And that's why IP now is capitalizing on that. This is the issue. Let's continue.
4 times higher the rate of death in childbirth.
Okay, so you said that it's never happened where this was the case, right?
There's no case where a 9-year-old could have completed puberty. No.
Okay, but hold on 1 second. I'm saying for somebody to get pregnant, they would have had to have gone through all the stages, correct?
No, they have to go through at least standard stage 4, because at the end of standard stage 4 is
Would
when
you
they have
consider
puberty.
that person to be pubescent or prepubescent?
If they have their first period?
I'm saying they got pregnant, so they would have already.
If they
had their
got
period.
pregnant, then they're post-pubescent. Yes.
Good. So there's an example. I don't know if you know who it is. Her name is Lena Medina. She was 5 years old when she first got pregnant. Obviously, we don't agree with the means that she got pregnant by, but it's to show that it is the case that this is something that could still happen. Right?
Okay, I got a question
And this is
about
something
that.
that happened more
I got a
modernly.
question. So you said if they have their period, they're a woman, they're an adult, they're post-pubescent. Was that 5-year-old an adult?
Yeah, so insofar as what I asked you, I was asking you in regards to what your criteria is that you're establishing. Right now, I don't think there is a criteria that you're actually giving in regards to what is considered to be a child, what is considered to be
Okay,
adult.
I'll give it.
So-
I'll give it.
Okay.
You have to complete puberty. It's not completed till 15 to 17. That's why we as a society, we assign adulthood to the age of 18.
Okay, so you see the problem here. We don't agree with IP's presupposition that in order for somebody to be marriageable, they have to go through all stages and finish all stages. Okay, see, I don't like the way this is going, because before we could argue a moral issue, we must first agree on a moral standard framework. Where is IP grounding this moral problem in? Is he grounding it in some kind of modern understanding of who ought to be married and who ought not to be married? Or is he grounding that in divine revelation, or in something we call universal objective moral truths? Where is he grounding this in? I don't like the way that this is being handled right now. Okay? Because they are granting too much of his presuppositions. But we'll see how this turns out.
Anything under 18 is a child. That 5-year-old is not a woman. She's a child. She should not be married off.
Okay.
So how do you respond to the argument from natural law, which we see that, for example, Paul appeals to within Romans and Corinthians, that we can look at nature to be able to come to reason, and we see that there was no critique of this specific marriage of Muhammad والسلام, prior to the 19th century, which means that nobody prior to the 19th century made a critique, although he was criticized for other things, right? Other critics have made.
So this is good. This is good. I've made this point before. I like now where he's going, because now what TMA Amir is arguing is that the New Testament, Paul appeals to something we call natural law. This kind of intuitive notion, or these kind of universal principles grounded in our very nature that govern human beings and their moral compass. So Paul appeals to this, so then surely IP will have no problem in grounding this moral problem in any universal, intuitive, natural moral compass, right? So this is good. I like that TMA brought this up, and let's see how IP deals with it.
Other points regarding it, but nobody made it regarding the marriage between him and Aisha radiallahu anha. So if you conclude that we both agree on the standard of natural law and come into reason through nature and what God has instilled in us through who we are as human beings, and would agree that we would expect that if it was the case that it was wholly immoral during that time, how come we don't have that critique pattern?
So I got where you're coming from. Okay, so here's the first problem. Practically, a lot of the hadith were not known in the Western world. So that's the first problem. The second thing is Muhammad is supposed to be the pattern of conduct for Muslims, for people in all times. And he's supposed to be getting divine revelation from God. Yet he's a girl. That's evil. That's setting up.
So IP is not answering. IP just completely dodged TMA's objection that he brought up. He said, well, it doesn't matter because today human beings think otherwise. But that doesn't actually change the point that this marriage is not contrary to natural law, even if society develops to think otherwise. Because there's other explanations to think why societies would come to develop to think otherwise. Okay? So he is not responding to the argument from natural law. He's just saying, well, today we view this as a little bit taboo. It's kind of abnormal. It's not something looked down upon in society. Okay. But how does that change whether this is true according to natural law or not? It doesn't. Okay. So IP here is actually not responding to the point. Guys, why are you saying you can't hear me? Why are you saying you can't hear me? I'm speaking right into the mic. Can you guys hear me? You could hear me? All right, sounds good. Sounds good. All right, so IP is just not responding. He's throwing red herrings. What he brought up is completely tangential here. Let's continue.
Bad example for humanity. And this doesn't matter. All this shows at the end of the day is Muhammad was a product of the corrupt, backwards culture of his time. We now have the scientific evidence to know that is wrong, and it should never have been a prescription.
Okay, so again, he's strawmanned because Amir's point is that this is not something unique to the Prophet's corrupt, backwards culture. Rather, this was universally accepted within societies that were even in isolation. For example, the ancient Indians practiced marriage this way. Ancient Chinese practiced marriage this way. The ancient native populations of North America and Australia practiced marriage this way. The ancient Egyptians practiced marriage this way. The ancient Romans and Greeks practiced marriage this way. The ancient Christians practiced marriage this way. Ancient Jews practiced marriage this way. The ancient Arabs practiced marriage this way. What explains this unanimous agreement that can't be demonstrated as a development based on influence of intercultural interactions? What explains this unanimous agreement? What explains this unanimous agreement across all of these cultures and societies? That they all came to the same principle that a woman ought to be married when these signs show up in her. So this is not a matter of ancient, corrupt, backward Arabia. This is a matter of ancient societies all agreeing that this is what marriage ought to look like. Okay, so he's not responding here. He's not replying to Amir's point.
Described by some sort of apparently omniscient deity. Apparently.
Right, so what your response is that actually the reason why we don't see that critique is because there is no access to the ahadith at that point. First of all, that's not even true.
I didn't say that. I said that practically. I said there's a pragmatic aspect.
Right, like on a mass scale, right?
Yeah, on a mass scale.
However, we know that there is a lot of critiques that were raised against Muhammad alayhi salatu. And amongst those critiques, none of them were regarding the marriage. So the argument still follow. Why? Because we do have the critiques, meaning that people have access to the Quran, people have access to the Sunnah, such as John of Chrysostom, for example, who critiques Muhammad ﷺ in his writings.
Good. You see, Amir actually destroyed him here. Everybody's give a random applause for TMA. Good point. Because IP said corrupt, expiring philosophy. He said, well, the reason they don't bring this up against him is because they didn't have access to hadith literature. Well, the people who criticize the Prophet are using hadith literature. They're using hadith literature to criticize the Prophet, and yet they don't use this specific detail about his life against him. You guys see? So his point about, well, you know, it's not accessible. Well, whether it's accessible or not, it was definitely accessible to those who critiqued him, because they use the Sunnah to critique the Prophet. They use the Quran to critique the Prophet, and yet they don't critique this. They don't critique 65:4, do they? So IP got fried there. Let's continue.
Yeah, we don't find a critique about child marriage, right? So we still see that you saying that it wasn't widely accessible is irrelevant. Why? Because we have a big sample data where there's a lot of critiques regarding it, and not a single one part in the 19th century.
So let's go on that. So we're conflating two things: the natural with what, as Immanuel Kant said, out of the crooked timber of humanity, nothing straight has ever grown. I agree. There were plenty of humans in the past that believed bad, corrupt, wrong things. They're not the standard, like the Quran says.
So this is begging the question. This assumes that this, the very point, is bad and corrupt and an evil thing. This is begging the question. This is circular, and we know that IP has no problem in conceding that his God is circular and that Matthew is circular. He loves being circular. He learns it from Matthew. Well, this is begging the question.
Hold on, let me finish. I'll let you finish. They're not the standard. They're not getting their information from omnipotent God. We now know today, this is wrong. This is bad. The temporal lobes are...
Wow. This is ironic, because he says, well, you're not getting this information from an all-knowing God. Okay, so this takes me back to my very first question. What constitutes a Christian value? If it's based on what God says, then bye-bye monogamy, bye-bye non-cousin marriages. Because remember, according to him, morality should be based on an all-knowing God, not based on the church fathers who later say, well, we shouldn't do polygamy anymore. It's based on an all-knowing God, and the all-knowing God says you could have polygamous marriages, you could have cousin marriages. So which is it, Mikey boy? Which is it? Tell me now. Tell your father, which is it, boy? You see how inspiring piss, expiring philosophy can't keep up with his own arguments? Because he's trash. He's a rookie.
Not even developed in a 9-year-old to properly communicate or express or understand activity. So if you're messing her up mentally. Not only can you all these physical problems, it's also mentally bad. It's socially bad. This is not good for anyone. We know that now. So Islam is allowing this. You guys are kind of defending it, which I'm shocked. It's child marriage. We should just reject everyone out here. Should be outright, yes, child marriage is wrong. It should be abolished around the world.
We literally agree. We literally, before we began, we clarified that Islam, we don't believe there's something known as child marriage. Right? We already clarified that.
So, but I said child under the age of 18. Do you agree a child is under the age of 18?
No,
right. Again,
that's subjective.
Okay.
Right, so,
Okay. All right. You guys see how this filthy demon is playing now? Now, anything under 18 is a child. Oh, okay. So then, according to inspiring philosophy, his parents are pedophiles, his grandparents are pedophiles. As a matter of fact, 90% of the world, 90% of human beings who have walked the earth is a pedophile. They're all pedophiles. The Prime Minister of Canada, according to IP, is a pedophile. Because in Canada, you could have sexual relations as young as 14 years old. In Canada, you could consent to sexual relations as a 14-year-old with somebody up to 5 years older than you. So a 14-year-old can be with a 19-year-old in Canada. So according to him, Canadians are all pedophiles. Filipinos, the Japanese, everybody in the world is a pedophile according to IP's definition of a child. You see how he shifted now? You see how he's shifting definitions? It's 16, not 14. Nope. So in Canada, a 14-year-old can consent up to 5 years older. But a 16-year-old can consent to anyone. But a 14-year-old can consent to up to 5 years older in Canada. Okay? So, according to IP's bankrupt definition of what a child is, this is a non-medical definition, right? Everybody is a pedophile. You see the problem? Let's continue.
We don't,
So now-
then you
so
don't,
now we
then you don't
switch.
think child marriage should be
Real
outlawed?
quick, but hold on. You switched it because a second ago you said that someone who's an adult is someone that completed puberty, and that could have between 15 and 17. Now all of a sudden you say
Oh, yeah.
under 18. So I'm very confused on which time you
Sure,
want.
let me clarify.
And by the way, I want to mention, according to him, his own God is a pedophile, and his own God's daddy, Joseph, is a pedophile. Because you could argue that Mary maybe wasn't 12. Okay. Are you going to say that she was over 18? Cut me the bullshit, Habibi. Are you going to say Mary was over the age of 18? This is historically implausible. So his own God is a pedophile. Because remember, according to IP, a child is anybody under the age of 18. No matter where you live, no matter who you are, no matter what century you live in, no matter what timeline, anybody under 18 is a child for IP. You guys see the problem? So IP, clip this. IP throws his God under the bus and calls his own God a pedophile. His God pregnated a child, and a child gave birth to his God. So we have Jesus is gay in a sense. Jesus is a pedophile, and the disciples are stupid. All right.
So let me finish. Now, regarding Islam, our stance is very simple. Islam is going to be dependent upon the circumstances of the individuals. Meaning, if it was the case that at a specific point in time, it wouldn't entail physical mental harm, and someone would have been post-pubescent and fully mature, then the marriage can be done, right? However, if it is going to entail, such as today, and this is the people according to Peter D. Glockman, when he mentioned this, if it is going to entail harm today, meaning that people can attain pubescence, but they don't attain monarchy, right? It is going to be the case that today would entail harm, therefore would not be allowed Islamically. It's very simple. Now, regarding your point regarding how, we know that there's humans around the world that have justified bad things happening in society. Well, the thing is, we're talking about a universal aspect, meaning that all humans, everyone who's critiquing Muhammad, none of them recognize this something that's inherently abhorrent.
Well, hold up. Now, I gotta address, you've been going for a while. Let me address something.
He's manifesting. He is manifesting now because TMA brought up exactly what I said. TMA exposed exactly what I said, that the argument is about a universally binding principle. So now IP is manifesting. You see how IP is crashing out now? He's manifesting now.
on
I'm
these
about
points.
to land. I'm about to
Finish
land.
up. Finish. You
Right.
got 20
Now,
seconds.
Paul is the one that
What the-
appeals to natural law.
Hey, you guys see that hand gesture? Guys, check this out. I told you he's closeted.
Wow, let me address all these
I'm about
points.
to land.
What the heck was that?
Something that's inherently abhorrent.
Well, hold up.
So,
No,
okay, let me-
now I gotta address. You've been going for a while. Let me address all these points.
Yo, what are those hand gestures, dog? Broski, you moving a little wet, brother. Brother, you're moving a little fruity, brother. A little wet. A little soft. A little saucy. I'm telling you, IP is closeted. I have no doubt about it. I have no doubt about it. I'm telling you right now, no doubt about IP being closeted. Especially, I'm gonna show you guys a clip in a second here. Actually, let's do that right now. Let's do that right now before we continue. Just to prove a point. Okay, just to prove a point, because this, you guys, you'll see what I'm talking about. Here. Let me pull it up. Where is it? All right, I found it. I'm gonna prove it to you guys. I'm telling you. I'm gonna prove it to you guys. Look. If I'm gonna show you that I'm not just accusing him. Oh, Orthodox Muslim, you're just making stuff up, Orthodox Muslim. You're just slandering him, Orthodox. Okay. Then explain this. Explain this then.
On St. Paul's, according to Catholic Catechism 2068, it says salvation is by faith, baptism, and the keeping of the 10 Commandments. Okay? According to the Bible, you have people keeping the law to be saved. According to the Catholic Church, you have people trying to keep the law to be saved. Okay? So is your position that Catholics are on St. Paul's Christians?
Wait a minute, you made a false dichotomy there. Catholics, Christians? So they're not Christians, according to you.
Well, I mean, it's about defining Christian, but I want you to get to my point. I want you to get to my point, right? Because Paul's teaching, again, I'm trying to understand. So Paul's teaching in Galatians chapter 1 and in Galatians chapter 3 that there is clearly a group of people teaching that salvation is by keeping the 10 Commandments. Am I lying or am I saying true?
Talking about the Judaizers, like I said.
Yeah, okay, brilliant. And what was the doctrine of the
Judaizers? They said you have to keep the law of Moses and law of circumcision to be saved.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so I'm talking now about Catholics and Eastern Orthodox believing that you have to keep the 10 Commandments to be saved. Okay, according to Paul's theology. Yes, they did. I just
they don't say that.
I wasn't really
They don't say that.
He doesn't
really
understand justification.
So according to Catholic Catechism 2068, we read, and I'm just going off the top of my head, right? It says salvation is by faith, baptism, and the keeping of the 10 Commandments. They're running now. They want to rescue the voice. Mike, they're trying to get rescue the voice. No. They want you to run. Please don't run. Please don't run. You're going to stay in, Mike? You're going to stay with me? Okay, but listen. Okay. Anyways,
Understand,
Mike, I want you to answer. I don't want to switch your talk.
No. This is a friend of mine. He's an inquiring Catholic.
I'm speaking
He's
to you.
allowed to talk.
Okay.
Chat.
Okay.
Chat. Please watch. Please. What is this? Please tell me now. Am I lying? If I'm lying, I'm flying, chat. Yo, what is... Brother. Brother, please. Hey, Mr. Fabulous, what you doing with your fingers, dog? Yo. Oh my god, dude. Please tell me that you guys see this right now. Yo, this guy looks like James Charles, man. What the hell? I'm telling you, his mannerisms are so rainbow. His mannerisms are super Fruit Loops. He is zested out to the max. Man. So when you guys say, oh, Orthodox Muslim, you're just throwing empty accusations. What is that? Please tell me. What is that? So don't say I'm just accusing him. All right, because it's just not me. Everybody could see it. All right. He is closeted 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. He's a sissy. 100%. And you notice how he's best friends with Than. Than Sexual. You guys remember Than? What he was doing in the Discord chat? You guys remember that? You guys remember? You guys see what's going on here? They got a fruit cup group. Like their whole group is filled with fruit cups. Fan, him, and BBL. You guys know BBL? Bought by Lubiano, Bought by Blood. They are super zest. They're all as zesty as each other. So, just saying, they're like the Trinity. They're the trio, the zesty trio.
Finish up. You get 20
now,
seconds.
Paul is the one that appeals to natural law. Obviously, we know that when it comes to natural law, when it comes to knowing these things that are known by disposition, they are known prior to revelation, right? So if it is the case that they're known prior to revelation, we'd expect at least someone to make that critique.
Okay, now I'm going to respond. You've talked for a while. I'm going to go on for a couple minutes here.
Yeah,
So first of all, not everyone around the world had access to the Hadith. Okay, there's a problem here. It's not like we had a big global community and all voted, I think Muhammad was bad. This happened in 1857. No, did not happen. So this is, you're appealing to something that just did not happen. So let's go back to me trying to tell you what a child is here. Let's start with this because we need to get over this, okay? So we know puberty is complete between the ages of 15 or 17. We can't, as a society, constantly be going around checking hip development, Tanner stage 5 development. That is impractical. So we just assign adulthood to the age of 18. That's still far better than 9. That's the problem right there. Now, if you want to talk to what ancient people did, we can talk about that. So Michael Satlow, talking about the ancient Jews in Palestine, said they were marrying girls on average between the ages of mid-teens to early 20s. Amram Troper says late teens to early 20s.
Okay, beautiful. Mid-teens to early 20s. So according to him, early Jews were pedophiles because remember, a child is anything under 18. So thank you for admitting that your God is a pedophile. Thank you. Thank you, buddy. Thank you. You guys see? He exposed himself on his own.
Brent Shaw in the Roman Empire, he says late teens to early 20s. So does Keith Hopkins. Then you get to the Middle Ages. Kim Phillips in her book Medieval Maiden says again, yeah, that's the thing. So it was not a normal practice to be marrying a 6-year-old, let alone.
Okay. Okay, this is not true. This is not true. Let's pull up the sources. If anybody misrepresents sources, it's this dude right here. It's this guy. He's the most dishonest mudallis known to mankind. You guys don't believe me? You guys don't believe me? Let's pull it up, man. Let's see if I have it. Hopefully I have it. Where do I have it? Let's see if I can pull it up. Yeah. My drive. Okay. Let's see here. I got it. Okay. Let's look. Take a look at that. Fathers and daughters in Roman society. On page 252. What does it say? It says, indeed, as Roman women were generally married while in their early teens to men in their early 20s. What did he say? Guys, what did he say? See how this guy misrepresents the sources? Then we go to The Roman Family by Suzanne Dixon. What does it say? Puberty is, after all, clearly marked in the female sex by menarche, an unequivocal secondary sexual characteristics, and most cultures have folklore surrounding menstruation and different codes of behavior for pre- and post-pubertal young girls, and for males interacting with them. It is usually assumed that marriage marked a formal transition from girlhood to womanhood. Does that sound familiar, guys? To Aisha saying, when I turned 9, I became a woman? Does that sound familiar? Because marriage is what turned and was the formal transition from when a girl became a woman. So he's just misrepresenting the sources. Anyways, let's continue.
Evil, and if Muhammad is the pattern of conduct, that's setting a bad example. That's going to lead to all sorts of harm, as it has around the world. UNICEF reports high levels of child marriage in North Africa, in the Middle East. This is horrible.
Beautiful.
We are torturing these girls. Why would we not want to reject that and say, yes, child marriage should be outlawed around the world. No one should be getting married around the ages of under the ages of 18. And yes, if you're going to bring up random U.S. states that allow it, I condemn them as well.
Hold on, guys. Did you know that over 80% of people that watch these videos are not subscribed? And that,
guess what, buddy? No one cares. Nobody cares, dog.
All right, now let's get back to the discussion.
The topic is, right, Christianity versus Islam, which one's better for society? So what he's saying to you in regards to Paul appealing to natural law, etc., that's going to be the criteria that we're going by here. Right, we're going by Christianity versus Islam. Islam itself doesn't give a particular age, it gives a criteria. Christianity
And I
does,
said that's bad.
1 second.
So that's bad.
Christianity also does the same thing. It doesn't give a particular age. Okay. I think you appeal sometimes to Ezekiel 16. There's also the passage in 1 Corinthians 7, right? Neither of those two gives an age. They only give a physical, or, you know, yeah.
Let me address that. Let me address that.
I'm not
Okay, finish up. I want to address the passages you brought up.
Okay, so I'm not appealing to the passages in particular, by the way. But my point being is that in you saying there's a particular age that we have to go by, etc., well, that age is not something that's going to hold up in regards to society for every single society. As he quoted for you from Peter D. Gluckman's paper, menarche and mental maturity is something which used to be in line at some point, and now what we find is a fluctuation between the two of them, whereby in today's society, we don't find them being the same. They're going to be vastly different.
Right.
Go ahead.
Okay, so
Yeah.
hold on. Let me address her, then we'll go to you. So so on this whole issue, so yes, I agree that it doesn't set an age, but Ezekiel 16 says that you cannot, the age for love making does not happen until after she has basically completed puberty. The breasts are fully formed, her hair is fully grown. She has to
Which
complete it.
translation is
Hold
this?
on, let me finish. So that's the issue right there. But again, at the end of the day, we're talking about the effects of society. Christian societies are outlawing this. We don't see 9-year-olds getting married in America. We don't see it happening here. This is bad. But you guys over here are saying, yes, it's perfectly fine to take a girl to...
We
should be okay with
we already
that.
said that we shouldn't do that because of the studies that we've shown you, and you're not responding to them
Yeah,
for some reason.
Can you
Okay, so inspiring, or I should say expiring piss, sorry to say, just lied on Ezekiel. Okay? Ezekiel doesn't say, I saw your hair finish growing and I saw your breasts finished forming. Doesn't say that, does it? But because he submits to his liberal European lords and his secular cuck lords, he is ready to lie about his own text in order to make his ancient text fit with modern society. It's just not going to work, buddy. Your text is as ancient as mine. So if my ancient moral values suck, then your ancient moral values suck, IP. You can't have them both. Either become a liberal secularist, come out as a proud rainbow homosexual, go to the streets butt naked with a Speedo on and tell the world how much you love the 21st century, or stick to the Bible. Can't have it both. Can't have it both, buddy. Sorry to tell you.
And you have
nobody should be having intercourse with someone who's 9 years old because
so Muhammad was a sinner.
No, it doesn't follow.
Yes, it does.
It doesn't
No, it
follow.
doesn't.
You know why it doesn't follow? Because at that point, it didn't entail harm.
Yes, it did.
Okay, and I'm giving you a reason why it didn't.
Yes, it did.
Can you address that? According to Peter D. Gluckman.
What's the name of the paper? Evolution, development, and the timing of puberty.
Right. Exactly, beautiful. And he makes the conclusion in his graph that there was a point when menarche and pubescence were in correlation. That is no longer the case.
No, you're confusing the chart. The chart is age of menarche and social cycle development.
Exactly.
That's the point, though.
Were they matching at some point?
What was that? Yeah, they were.
Are they matching today?
No, they're not. No, that's not the point.
Thank
the
you.
point.
Hey, he fried him, man. Hey, he got fried. Look at him. Hey, brother. Hey, this guy's getting fried right now, bro. That's not the point. That's not the point. It is the point. It is the point. You just got fried. That's what happened. You got fried, buddy.
The point is that the green on the chart, what you're pulling up there, the green shows when age of menarche happened. And at that time, they're saying, well, the girls didn't need that much education at that time to develop. So they could be more implemented in society quicker. But now we have more education because it's better for them. Thank good for the West promoting more education. Amen to
And
that.
Islam.
So so let's go on to that. So that's the problem. Age of menarche did not happen according to that paper at 9. There is no possible way. Hold on, let me finish. There is no possible way that Aisha could have reached puberty, could have had her first period at 9, according to the paper you cited, because that shows it had to happen after the age of 10, and that was at least 1% only.
Wait, hold on. So you agreed with me earlier when I first asked you in regards to somebody getting pregnant, they would have to have their period first, right?
Yes, and Aisha couldn't.
Okay. But I gave you an example. You said it's an impossibility. Is it logically impossible?
Is it logically impossible for what?
For somebody to not have their period before 9 or at 9?
No, wait, hold on. What are you saying? This doesn't
You said
follow what I was
it's
trying to say.
impossible for her to have had her period by then, correct?
Biologically, yes.
Okay, and I gave you an example of today.
Today, yes.
Yeah, modern day, a girl who's at the age of 5 had her period and she was pregnant as well.
Yeah.
So it's not impossible.
So basically what you're saying is there was this crazy genetic
She's not
fluke.
the only, no, it's
Hold
not
on,
the
hold on.
only thing.
The
I'm giving you an
reason why that
example.
Okay, so IP is just getting fried. He is just getting brutally, you know the word I'm gonna use, guys, but I've been trying to relax on those words. That word. He's been getting brutally that word. And now he is just coping. Hey, you lost. You lost, sir. How does it feel to lose? Now he's throwing red herrings, and he is not answering. He is not answering the question because he got exposed for being inconsistent. He got exposed for being an inconsistent soy boy.
Today is because, according to the paper you cited,
Right.
nutrition has gotten better. And if nutrition gets better, that means the age of menarche starts to lower. But in the time of Muhammad, it wasn't. It was higher.
Really?
So yeah,
That's not
that's
what
what
all
the
the
chart
study says.
says.
The study says more than that, though.
One second,
That's what
guys.
the chart
Sorry, I'm
says.
sorry.
That's what the
Real
chart
quick,
says.
Yeah, so Imam al-Shafi'i, okay, he's somebody who comes after Muhammad, peace be upon him. He speaks about the individuals of his time period,
Right.
as well as Aisha radiallahu anha, by the way, but this is afterwards. So Imam al-Shafi'i, rahimahullah, he speaks about the people that come after in his time period, okay, and he says that he has observed with his own eyes where an individual who was 9 years old, okay, she gave birth to one child, and then her child
Where's
gave
it say
birth.
that?
Yeah, this
What
is
source?
in his books.
What's the source?
It's a risala.
So it's an Islamic
Risala.
source.
He's a historian.
He's observing
because
it.
he's someone that's contemporary to that time and he's making an observation.
So according to you, so again, I said this was an external.
Baked. IP. IP. That was a curveball, wasn't it, buddy? That was a curveball, wasn't it, buddy? You lost. You lost, man. Inspiring philosophy, you keep losing, man. You got destroyed by a Hebrew Israelite. You got destroyed by the Orthodox Muslim. I made you admit that the Prophet Muhammad is prophesied by Jesus according to scholarship. I made you admit that the New Testament is circular. And by the standard of the New Testament, the Prophet Muhammad is prophesied. You are now getting dominated by a woman, boy. But isn't that in your nature anyway? Because you're a soy boy. You are now getting dominated by a female. A female is dominating you. You like to be dominated, huh? He likes it, doesn't he?
Critique.
Oh,
I'm
my
saying
goodness.
that if that was
Does that mean we're
can't
talking about
happen.
historical
According-
references?
You've cited now two sources that contradict each other. The paper, Evolution, Development, and the Timing of Puberty, shows that could not have happened.
No, it
But then
doesn't-
you
it doesn't-
said,
wait, what
but
does it say
according
that
to our
it could-
Islamic
wait,
sources,
why does it say they could not
hold
happen?
up. According to
Yeah,
Islamic
absolutely.
sources,
You say that.
it did
It says
happen.
literally they can have earlier
Therefore,
markers.
you just said Islam contradicts reality. Thank you.
So real quick, you're making a few blunders. First of all, the
What?
study never says it couldn't have happened because the study, number one, it doesn't account for the specific sample within Middle Eastern countries. That's number one, and it doesn't account for anomalies. That's number two. Number three, Imam al-Shafi'i in Risala, he does mention this, and he's someone that's contemporary to
So
that
let's
time.
go on that. Anomalies. We're talking about which is better. Anomalies.
So real
So
quick,
if an anomaly happens, it's okay to have sex with them?
Okay, can you let me finish? Again,
It's okay to have sex with
let,
them?
let me finish. So, no, you shouldn't do that. I already clarified.
Whoa, okay, good.
So,
good,
so,
good.
so
Keep going.
let me finish. So again, we know in the case, according to the study, in the case that someone is pubescent at that time, it wouldn't
Just want to respond to a comment I saw. Where did you go? Here we go. Brother, this isn't a good look on you. Tone it down a little. Hey man, am I doing anything haram? Am I doing anything wrong? If you don't like my personality, then you don't have to watch me. I'm not gonna change my personality for you because I'm not here to please you so I could act however you want me to act. Okay, this is me. I'm like this on camera and off camera. And those who know me in life, in real life, know this is how I act. I've always acted this way. So brother, I'm not gonna change my personality. This is who I am. So as long as I'm not doing anything wrong or contrary So I don't see a problem with goofing around here and there. You don't have to act serious all the time. Okay. So it's okay. You don't have to watch, brother. It's fine, man. You could, watch someone else who always wants to be serious. I'm not like this. I'm not always serious. I like to joke around, have some fun. Okay.
How
Thank you.
That's by your concession, because you said
No, I didn't.
You see that because you said that it's not possible for Aisha to have been pubescent. If it was the case, then according to you and the conclusion they made from the study, then it would follow indeed, right?
You're taking what I said out of context.
No.
No, let me clarify.
Show me that.
I did not say I said there was no. I was talking about prepubescent.
Right.
Aisha was prepubescent.
We disagree with that.
Yeah, we
So at that
disagree.
point,
By
but
her
in
own
terms of
words, she
harm,
says that she wasn't.
when I was talking about harm, I mentioned physical and mental harm as well.
Beautiful.
So it doesn't matter. You're having teen, a
Doesn't
preteen,
matter.
anything. It's going to be harmful to them. We should reject this. Sex with anyone under 18 should be outlawed. Okay?
Yeah, according to
Islam says it's
Christianity,
okay.
is that
That's
according
evil.
to Christianity?
What the heck just happened? Sorry, guys. I accidentally clicked out. Accidentally exited out. So what I was gonna say to that is, he said, well, any intercourse under 16 or under 18 should be outlawed. Sorry. Okay, according to whom? According to whom? Is it according to the Bible? Nope. Show me now in the Bible where it says that. Show me now. You won't see it anywhere. Is it according to Christianity? Nope. It's not according to Christianity either. So what is it according to? Is it according to Donald J. Trump? Is it according to George W. Bush? Is it according to the founding fathers of the United States? Is it according to King Charles? Who is it according to? Because it's definitely not according to the Bible. Okay? Is it according to your secular lords? It's definitely not according to the Bible. I live in Canada. In Canada, like I mentioned, a female at the age of 14 can consent to somebody up to 5 years older. The age of consent here is 16 years old for any age above. So, according to IP, all of Canadians are PDFs. Justin Trudeau, Mark Carney, everybody's a PDF in Canada. In the entire world, except for IP and his group of pansexual friends.
Hold on.
Second,
Yeah.
I just want to know, is that according to Christianity or is that according to
I get it. Ezekiel 16,
modern,
yes.
modern secular
According to
society?
Ezekiel 16.
Ezekiel 16
What
doesn't give you a
translation?
number, it
'Cause,
doesn't say
yeah,
18.
it
It
says
just gives
entered
you-
puberty in the
Wait.
NIV.
No.
Yeah, and it gives you,
Let me read
hold on, it gives
I gotta
you
read it
certain
then.
indications of
Hold
pubescence,
up, let me
which
read
we
it.
also don't disagree with, right?
Let me read it.
Pubic hair, the growing of breasts, etc. Those are also indications that we have as well. So that doesn't contradict Islam.
So when does puberty complete?
yeah, again, it completes when the
Can we-
individual goes
let's-
through all of
let's
these.
allow-
When does puberty
Yeah, yeah,
complete?
Let's just to get a word in as well.
So when puberty completes between the ages of 15 or 17.
Is that
So
the
it says
case
here in
everywhere?
Ezekiel 16, when he's talking about the girl, he says, okay, I mean,
Okay, so you see how he contradicts himself? He said between ages 15 and 17. But then he says anybody who has intercourse with anybody under 18 is a PDF. So which one is it? Is it 15 to 18? Or anything under 18 is wrong? Which is it, Mikey boy? Which is it? You cannot keep your story straight. Which is it? It's very clear and obvious to us that IP, Mikey Jones from Inspiring Philosophy, is not arguing for Christianity. He is arguing for his secular, liberal lords and masters and gods. It's obvious. Everybody can see it. Everybody can see it.
And you flourish like a plant of the field.
Wait, so if you think
And
it's okay,
grew up- hold
okay.
up, you go, man, calm down.
Go
It's
ahead.
okay. It's all right.
Go ahead.
I'm just reading. And you grew up and became tall and arrived at full adornment. Your breasts were formed, and your hair had grown, yet you were naked and bare. When I passed by you again, I saw you, and behold, you were at the age of lovemaking. So when the breasts are formed, when she is fully formed, then is the age for lovemaking.
Where does it say fully formed? Where does it say that, sir? Doesn't say that anywhere, does it? You see, guys?
So according to this principle of Christianity that we get from the Bible, no, you have to wait till she is finished. That's the age of lovemaking. Meanwhile, in Islam, you're saying, no, it can happen before that. That's bad. That's harmful. The studies all show this. Do you deny that the studies don't show child marriage is harmful?
No, I agree with that. We already got
You
this.
agree that? Okay, great.
On the Islam,
Great.
wait, real quick.
Strawman.
And on the Islam, everything that's harmful is going to be impermissible. Now, let's get that out of the way.
Hey, quick break from the show. I want to give a big shout out to Logos. So Logos is actually my
Nobody cares, brother. Promise. Nobody cares, man.
Now let's get back to the show.
I think we've already established from the Islamic perspective that there is no such thing as having intimacy with a prepubescent.
You have not.
We have.
No,
we
you-
have. But
Did
actually,
Muhammad
that's not
consummate the marriage at 9?
That's not.
Did he consummate the marriage at 9?
Does 9 automatically necessitate a child?
Yes. Did he
No,
consummate the
it
marriage at 9?
doesn't. You still haven't proven that.
Yeah,
You
there
haven't
is
proven
no
that. You
poss-
literally just said 15 to 17. Okay, fine. Is that the case globally? Is that
Yes.
no, it's not.
Yes,
I can literally
and I
bring
can
you
explain to you
PubMed
why. I can
papers
explain
right
to you
now.
why.
Hold on,
I can
hold on,
explain
hold on.
why. Very simple.
I wasn't done.
I can explain to you
I'm not
really
done.
why.
I'm not
It's
done.
quite simple. Hip
PubMed,
development.
okay.
Hip development.
Oh my God. Yeah, PubMed says that when it comes to puberty and when it comes to menarche, there's a paper. I could cite it for you if you want. I
Talk
can
about
bring it for you
menarche
right
at
now.
this point.
Okay. It literally says that pubescence can be achieved at different points, and it's achieved via different social standards when it comes to geographic, when it comes to economic. These are all different
Does it say
factors
it's
that come into
completed?
place. It literally talks about
Being completed.
individuals going through puberty.
Being completed.
Yeah, so it goes from the age of 11 all the way up until
Being
the age of
completed.
17 to 18. It's
Being
completely different from
anything
what you're
show
saying.
hip development is complete at age 11.
Yeah, so it's talking
No,
about puberty.
there are none. There is
Brother, my goodness. Who said that it needs to be completed? That's not what Islam teaches. That's what Ankh is saying, and he made a mistake when he said that. Ankh made a mistake when he said that.
It is biologically impossible for the hips of a girl to not be complete
Yeah, we
until the
can
age of
allow
15 to
you
17.
can make that, and then we want to move on to the other facts as well, because if you just hone on one thing, then we're not going to be.
But I
able
just
to-
want to know,
There's a-
did Muhammad
there's a-
consummate the marriage with a 9-year-old?
No.
He did not.
Look, what I'm saying.
She
What I'm
wasn't
saying here.
9,
What I'm
yes or no?
saying.
You're not saying no to that.
Just
you're
say yes or
Oh boy. Oh man.
no and expound.
What I'm saying here is that she was not a child at the time of marriage. She's not a child at the time of consummation. In fact, even in the traditional account, there's a waiting period. Now, this comes to the other angle that I was trying to get to, is why do marriages take place in the first place? Marriages take place not just for intimacy. They take place, especially for a leader, they take place to establish alliances. And this, in a way, goes back to the issue of polygamy.
Who was Aisha's father?
Abu Bakr.
Oh, he did establish an alliance with him?
You don't understand how the Eastern culture is. Eastern culture is when you want to bring people together.
Okay. Okay. Uncle, you don't need to be like, all of this is irrelevant. What marriage is for and whether it establishes like tribal ties and like what the benefits of marriage are, it's just completely completely tangential to the point. It's actually taken away from the substance that TMA and Itachi were cooking IP on. But now Ankh is completely taking us back. Now, okay, so now we're talking about like why marriage is beneficial, or whether there's tribal ties or what. Like this has now you're just feeding into IP's rhetoric now. There's no point in bringing that up.
For various political or social reasons, you do so through the vehicle of marriage.
That doesn't change anything I'm saying, though.
No,
a
well,
9-year-old
no,
is
no,
always
hold
a
on,
child.
Hold on.
Always a child. What Muhammad did was evil. He's not a good moral example. He should be thrown out because he's actually causing all sorts of
What
harm.
about Yahweh?
We see this happening in Iraq. We see this
Yahweh,
happening in
Moses.
Sudan, in Yemen, where they think it's okay to start sleeping with children.
I guess
Unfortunately,
Moses
you're
says the
just
same
appealing to the
thing,
emotions. That's it. That's all you're doing. You're appealing.
I can cite studies. You want some studies?
You're appealing to the emotions.
So you think it's okay to... I just want to be clear.
No, nobody said that on the panel.
No one said that.
I don't know. Wait, one second, real quick. I don't know why you keep going back to that same question we already answered like a few times.
You didn't answer.
No, we already
She
said
quite
no.
literally said
Nobody today should be married.
I'm not talking about today. I'm talking about Muhammad.
Let me finish.
I'm talking about Muhammad. Did Muhammad do something immoral?
No, we don't believe that.
Okay, so sleeping, having is not immoral.
Hey, brother,
presence
this
is a fallacy.
is like what are you doing? You're saying that, hey, it was it's immoral today, therefore must have been immoral back then. But you would even agree, Mr. IP, that there's things that we can derive through reason, and over time we can trial and test. For example, according to you in the Torah 22, 28 to 29, your Yahweh bit, it says that if somebody grapes a child, they can marry that child, right?
No, it doesn't. No, it does not. That is a lie.
Let me land.
That is a lie. That is not what the word. Not what tafas means.
One second. Now,
Well, it is
real
what
quick.
Paidan
No, it isn't.
Now you said.
Huh? Brother, IP, you are a vegetable, brother. Straight up. You are a literal vegetable. What are you talking about? Taf. Taf literally mean. Who speaks Arabic here, guys? Taf in Hebrew is the Hebrew equivalent of the Arabic طفل. الأطفال. What's a طفل in Arabic? Huh? What's a طفل in Arabic? An infant, child, a newborn, a kid. In Hebrew, that's the Hebrew equivalent is taf. As a matter of fact, if you check the Strong's Concordance, taf literally means infant, child. So, and this is not just what we Muslims, that's what the Concordance says. That's what academics say. That's what Hebraic scholars say. Okay, so this guy is a straight vegetable. I'm telling you, he's hired by Netanyahu. This guy's on Netanyahu's payroll. This guy is a good guy. Good guy. Good guy. Telling you guys.
You would say that, hey, that at that specific time point would be moral. But because, let me land.
No.
But because of how society operates today, because of what we know as Islam as urf, or aka accustoming to the natural custom of society, therefore will be deemed impermissible through reason, natural theology.
So okay,
Right?
good. So we use our reason.
Beautiful.
So we need to develop on what the law
Thank you.
taught. No,
So, wait, do you think that's not Islam?
He just kept talking. Now he wants to keep going.
Go
He
ahead.
won't let me respond. You see how that works? Kind of weird, isn't it? So anyway, let's go back to this. So here's the problem. You can't do that. Muhammad is getting revelations from supposedly an omniscient God.
Was
And
that
he's saying,
given revelation?
hold up. And he's saying, you are the pattern of conduct for humanity. Oh, by the way, you can.
Is Yahweh the pattern of conduct, the all-knowing, ineffable deity? If so, then why does he say you could touch children, sir? Why does he say that if he's all-knowing? Why does he say you could have many wives and have cousin marriages? Huh? I'm telling you, this guy is a closeted homosexual and an atheist.
They are according to him because he got some dream from Allah.
Same
that
as
I chose
Yahweh in
his.
Deuteronomy.
So
Right.
at that point, now you can't say that. Now Allah is wrong. You need to use reason and science to
Yahweh's
show
wrong
that he
too,
is
guys.
wrong. This is a problem for you.
Beautiful. So again, IP.
Wallahi, I take an oath by Allah. IP has once said, we know child marriage is wrong and polygamy is wrong because of how society develops, because of the scientific discoveries. So Yahweh was wrong. You need science to tell you what is right and wrong, boy. You guys see, this guy's such a hypocrite, bro. I have heard him make that very point. And now he's accusing Amir of making that point. Wow, dude, you are such a hypocrite, man. You're such a hypocrite.
For some odd reason, believes that reason and the revelation given in the Quran are going to be incompatible. No, that's not true.
It
Because,
is.
One second. As Sunni Muslims, we believe that there's going to be things that are inherently immoral, such as injustice, for example, prior to revelation. For example, in Islam, just give me a second. In Islam, we believe that drinking alcohol is going to be impermissible. That is going to lead to a greater harm, which Christian societies allow, right? However, there is going to be circumstances, for example, where you need to survive, where there's nothing accessible to you, where you do need to drink alcohol. So guess what? Islam, in that specific condition, allows reason to say that, hey, this thing is going to be the only viable way to live, therefore it's going to be permissible. So yes, Islam is compatible with natural law. It is compatible with reconciling specific commands over time.
Great. So reason, let's go on that.
No, you said the thing, Muhammad is said to receive revelation. Well, according to Yahweh.
I just want to make the point, guys. Alcohol is not inherently immoral because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed it at one point. I don't think TMA is trying to say that, but just for if any of you are thinking that he's saying that, he's not saying that. He only brought up the alcohol point to show that you could use reason to distinguish between a case of necessity and a case of non-necessity where the general rule applies. But alcohol is not something that is inherently wrong or universally wrong. It is haram in the Sharia that Muhammad brought, but it's not inherently wrong or immoral.
When it's spoken in Deuteronomy is also given revelation. That's not a defeat to the argument. You have to show why is it the case that Deuteronomy gave the law to marry children, yet we don't do it today, right?
So let me get back to this. My main point, can you marry a 9-year-old? Is that allowed in Islam?
No, today no.
Today no. So it was. It was.
Right.
So what? So in that
in
time,
Deuteronomy, you could have married children, and now you can't.
See, keep, well, let me talk.
But you don't want to address the
I'm showing you the double standard.
I'm going to get to Deuteronomy. I'm going to get to Deuteronomy.
He's going to get to Deuteronomy.
So you're 28, right? 22, 28. Yeah. So going back to my point about child marriage, though. Okay, you just basically became a moral relativist. Okay, because now the point now, let me finish.
You think that's moral relativism?
Habibi, calm down, lady. It's gonna be okay. So, because now it's okay to have.
Okay, IP, that is not what moral relativism is. How do you have a degree in philosophy, brother? That is simply not what moral relativism is, and that is not what Amir is saying either. What are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about, brother? Oh my God, this guy is trash. Nothing about what Amir said implies moral relativism. Okay.
Girl in the time of Muhammad, and it caused all the harm then. But now, because we've used reason and science, we can now know that the guidance that Allah was giving
That's
Muhammad.
Not moral relativism.
And there he goes again. There he goes again.
That is not what moral relativism is, brother. Because you're strawmanning what Amir said. There's a universal principle that Allah set. And that is applicable then and applicable now. The circumstances by which we measure its applicability change. The principle itself doesn't change. We're not moral relativists.
Did he just say he was going to get to Deuteronomy?
Now we can use we can now use reason and guidance to know that Allah was wrong. Thank you. Islam, the guidance it gave that through Muhammad was wrong. Let's get to Deuteronomy 22 now.
Yes.
The word is tafas.
That's not what they said. It's not what they said. Okay. But all right. So this is just dishonest.
Oh,
That is
what
the-
about in the Greek?
Hold up.
What's in the Greek?
It's a Hebrew, man.
Oh,
So the
but
word
what
is
about the
Torah. So we don't want to go on the original language. So look at we can't use the original.
Disciples
They
don't
said they
quote
want me to get to
Septuagint?
Deuteronomy 22. Now they don't want to talk.
Let him finish his Deuteronomy point, and then we'll let you
So let me
respond.
get. So the word is tafas. That is the same word used in Genesis when the wife of Potiphar grabs Joseph's cloak and says, "Come to bed with me." That does not mean rape. When you said it meant rape, it lied. You're going off the NIV translation. That is wrong. It just means to sort of flirtatiously seize. And we see that in the parallel passage in Exodus when it talks about when a man seduces a girl and they're found. And
What is he talking about? Hold on a second. One second. I just want to confirm something. Because either I confuse something or he's confusing something. One sec. Yeah, so he's confused. So he's confused, okay? He's confusing things. Because taf is the word for child or infant. What does it have to do with the word for grape? One second. So I don't know what. Let me just double check something. Deuteronomy. Yeah, so the word is not okay. He's confusing stuff. So you see how I told you guys IP speaks without knowledge? He's saying tafas doesn't mean grape. Tafas is not even the word in question. Tafas is the word for child, not the word for seduce or grape. He's confused. He almost had me second doubt myself. I had to go and double check. It's the word for child. So now he's just confusing things. Taf has nothing to do with grape or seduce. That's the word for child.
you'll pay those shekels to the father.
There's a big problem with that, though, is that the Latin Vulgate translates Deuteronomy 22, 28 to 29 the same way as it translates 25 to 27, which you already agree is about rape.
Latin.
So there's no point of taking 28 to 29 to not be about rape when your earliest Christians translate and understand it to be about rape.
They were wrong.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, see, that's the difference. That's the difference. I can use.
Wow. Jerome is wrong. Jerome, one of the only church fathers who knew fluent Hebrew, Greek, and Latin, was wrong. Jerome is wrong. But sissy soy boy Mikey Jones, living in the 21st century America, is right. The rabbis are wrong. Modern rabbis are wrong. Ancient rabbis are wrong. The Hebraic scholars are wrong. The translators are wrong. Jerome is wrong. The church fathers are wrong. IP, the soy boy, is right. Saint IP, pray for us. Saint IP, pray for us. Somebody make an icon of Saint IP, guys. Saint IP, pray for us now. Wow.
Reason. Notice the difference. I use actually the Bible to show you what the word means. They go, but these later Latin translators didn't agree with you. I don't care. I'm using the
So
Hebrew.
everybody was right, and you're the only one that's
Hey, if the shoe fits, my brother, the shoe fits. I'll take it.
I guess he didn't have the Holy Spirit.
You hinged on one of the wrong issue. Okay, the issue isn't regarding tefas and whether they were graped or not graped. The issue is the word paida in the LXX. You agree the LXX is used by the disciples, correct? It's a valid source that the Bible
They don't use that
uses.
one. They don't say.
Okay. Saint Augustine says the Septuagint LXX is inspired by the Holy Ghost. Saint Hilary says the Septuagint is inspired by the Holy Spirit. Saint IP of America says, nuh-uh. Nuh-uh. Where is my pansexual? Nuh-uh. Throw church history under the bus when it's not useful for the liberal secular agendas. And when they're useful for the liberal secular agendas, we'll use them. You guys see the problem? You guys see the problem here?
That.
Oh, they don't. Just conveniently, they don't use that one. But is it a source that they use?
They use the Septuagint as a source for like prophecy, typology, that kind of stuff.
Right, and they get them wrong there.
But
too.
Matthew
No
also uses the
problem.
Hebrew. It doesn't change anything. This is so irrelevant to the overall point.
In the LXX, does it use the word paida?
I don't have to look it up. That's irrelevant to the point.
Look it up.
No. I want to get back to the point. This is so irrelevant. I already addressed it.
Yo, IP is getting fried right now, bro. Guys, I'm loving this episode. I am loving this episode. The Muslims are doing so well. I want to hear more from Sierra. But Itachi and Amir are like, what's it called? They're killing it, man. They're killing it. This duo is killing it right now. They are frying this guy. They're frying this guy. This is good. I like this episode. Is good.
How is that relevant?
Do you agree that it is wrong to have in Christian society? Keep right from the top.
You have said that question a bunch of times.
Exactly. And he answered it like 50 times.
Let me land my main point. Then I will land my main point. Okay.
Back to square one. So now I can actually progress.
The problem is that we're talking about which society is going to produce better. Sorry, which religion is going to produce.
Okay, but we want to get across multiple points.
There we go.
So
I'm trying to wrap up so we can. Don't worry. Okay. The point we're trying to get is which is actually producing. I'm over here saying.
Hey, by the way, shout out Amir, man. Looking handsome, looking fly, fade on point, line up on point, looking fresh, looking like an ancient Egyptian pharaoh. Looking good, man. Good looks. Good looks. Good looks. Good looks, man. Shout out Amir, TMA, handsome guy.
That Christian societies has outlawed this stuff. It's wrong. It's evil. You guys are saying, no, it can happen in some circumstances, and therefore it's okay. That's the point I'm trying to drive home here. You guys keep saying it's okay to have, if the circumstances allow, but that's what Islam teaches. And then you're just saying, well, reason and science says that we can't. Great. Reason and science contradict Islam, and we use that instead of Islam. That's my point. So we get back to the main point.
All right, we'll let you guys close out on this topic.
All right, beautiful. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of problems. You said that it's been totally banned, but we see historically speaking, like it's found in A Lily Among the Thorns, that historically speaking, Christians would use verses like Numbers 31 and Deuteronomy 22 to justify raping young girls. and finding that to be holy. Also, you're trying to like completely just ignore the Septuagint, but your Christian saints like Augustine and stuff make arguments that if the Torah is preserved, then it's preserved in all recessions, including the Septuagint. So we have to look at the texts and compare the Hebrew and the Septuagint and understand the meanings from both of them. You can't just only look at the Hebrew, you have to look at the Hebrew and the Septuagint. And in the Septuagint, it uses the word force and child. So the child is being forced to be married.
No, it's not true.
Yeah, so just one more thing to add.
No, it's not true. No, it's not true, he said. So IP's response is nuh-uh. You guys see, this is the religion of nuh-uh, you're wrong. Let's go fact check right now, guys. Let's go. Watch this. This is the religion of nuh-uh, you're wrong. Nope, you're not. It's not true. Okay, well, let's go check. Let's go see if he's right. Okay, guys, it's very simple. Anybody can do it. Okay, guys, let's do it together. Let's do it together. Okay, just quickly, and then we'll resume. Just quick times. All right, here we go. We're in Bible Hub. We're gonna go to Deuteronomy. Right here, 22, right here, and then we're gonna go to the LXX. Here's the Greek. Let's go to verse 28, guys. Verse 28, verse 18, verse 24, 28. Here we go. And if any should find the child virgin, paida, whoever was not espoused and using force on her, he went to bed with her. He should be found and shall give the man going to bed with her to the father of the young woman 50 double drachmas of silver, and she will be his wife. Oh, so he wasn't wrong. He's right. Oh my God. But IP, so nuh-uh. Nope. Nuh-uh. So who's going to clip this and put it on Twitter? Huh? Because IP just keeps getting his ass handed to him every time he opens his mouth. IP, you're not built for this, buddy. Sorry, bro. You are not built for this life. You're trash. Stick to making your little videos, bro. You're not built for this life. I'm sorry. Sorry to tell you, bro. You're just not that guy, pal. You're not that guy.
To what you were saying specifically. So when we're looking at modern day societies as well, you're saying that because these things don't occur in Christian societies, that therefore means, and that they do occur in Islamic societies, that therefore means that Islam is worse for, for society in general than Christianity. Is that basically?
I'm saying yes, because
that's what you're saying, right?
Well,
I'm not done. I just want to make sure that's what you
one
said.
sentence. Okay, because you guys even acknowledge Islam is allowing with girls under 18, that is going to produce worse results. They won't even let me make the sentence. Let me make the sentence. Calm down. Okay. That is going to produce worse societies by your own admission. Yes, it will, because the studies show it does.
Okay. By his own standard, a society that allows marriage with girls under 18 would be a corrupt society. But didn't he say that the Bible in Ezekiel allows for marriage at least with somebody at the age of 15? Did he say that or not? Didn't he say that 15 to 18 is when full pubescence is attained? Ezekiel allows for marriage when full pubescence is attained, and that's at least at the age of 15. Last time I checked, 15 is under 18. So according to IP, Christianity allows for marriage under 18. Oh my God. Wouldn't you check that out, guys? Wouldn't you check that out, guys? So IP concedes that the Bible produces failed and corrupt societies. Wow. Wow. Wow, man.
Cool. So the problem is, do you know what Mill's method of difference is?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Okay. So, I'm sorry.
What happens is you guys ask him a
okay.
question.
It's kind of rhetorical. Okay,
Yeah.
I can explain it. No problem. Mill's method of difference just simply tells us that if it's the case that we're proposing that some sort of thing has a commonality between two particular events. So in this case, let's talk, for example, a Christian society that has many gangs and a Christian society that doesn't have many gangs. Okay. The individual who's coming to a conclusion saying that, oh, because this society is Christian, it therefore has many gangs, is going to be wrong, because there is not only it does not occur only in.
Spot on, Itachi. Spot on. That's why I asked in the beginning, what constitutes a Christian value? This seems to be an idea, a concept that has not been thought out well. For example, is Liberia a Christian society or a Muslim society? It's a Christian society. Central Africa is a Christian society or a Muslim society? It's a Christian society. Latin America is a Christian society or a Muslim society? A Christian society. But in Liberia, they have the biggest rates of the consumption of human flesh. Widespread corruption, Latin America, gang violence, production of drugs, trafficking of illegal substances. Central Africa has high cases of child marriage. Central Africa has high cases of sexually transmitted diseases, STDs and gonorrhea. It's a Christian society though, isn't it? No, IP will say. Those guys are, you see, they're not white. They're not European. They're not enlightened like us Europeans who went through the Enlightenment. Oh, okay. So then your society is not a production of Christian value. Your society is merely a result of the Enlightenment era and moving away from the Bible. So your society is a liberal society. If Christianity is the driving cause of your society, then why isn't Haiti a successful moral society? You see Orthodox Muslim, it's because they are not white. They are illegal third world subhumans. They're not white like me. You see? So it has nothing to do with Christian value or Christian society. It has everything to do with enlightenment and a move towards liberal value and liberal ideas. That's it. So IP, you're just exposing yourself, man.
One society, there has to be some other sufficient cause such that it would say that this is the reason why it's occurring in this society and in that one. Okay, good. So is it the case that it's occurring in every single Muslim society that there's child marriage?
I don't remember the statistics off the top of my head, but that doesn't change the point.
Wait, doesn't it occur in every single Muslim society?
Just finish your point, and then we're going to move into.
You guys acknowledged already that this Islam is allowing and teaching this.
That's my question.
We all
We already,
Did he
we
have
are,
sex?
we already, we
Ten
are.
times.
we
What
are-
kind of dichotomy is
we're gonna
this?
have to transition.
Didn't Yahweh commend the child marriage in Deuteronomy 22? Like, what is this?
No, I didn't. No.
We've already
Did that-
we've already
Yeah,
talked
man,
about
this is
it.
ridiculous,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Actually, let me share something. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
perfect.
Let me interrupt. Okay. So there is a gentleman by the name of Hans Kuhn, Catholic theologian, not necessarily a friend of Islam. Okay, not necessarily a friend of Islam. He has some criticism of Islam, but the issue is about about society, about what religion is good for society. So this is what he has to say. Again,
He's a state theologian, right?
he's a Catholic theologian.
Theologian. Okay, just want to make sure we know his credentials.
Yes. You want to go Google his name?
No, I'm going to talk to some sociologists later. But
All right, go ahead. So is Islam a religion of the law? Originally, it was not a religion of the law, but the religion of an ethic. The Quran is concerned with ethical imperatives for human society, not all of which were new. However, on the new basis of faith, these norms work in favor of more justice, fairness, restraint, moderation, mediation, compassion, and forgiveness.
What's his evidence?
And here's a lot of evidence here. I just gave you one.
What's his
quote.
evidence?
I mean,
No, I want to ask him. What's your evidence? What's your evidence that it causes more justice?
It's a very long quotation.
Because
here.
I can cite actual like researchers, like sociologists.
We think this is a crackhead or something?
My goodness. Now he's a theologian according to your admission. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to cite an actual book. It's called The Price of Freedom Denied, written by actual researchers in the field. They say no. Islamic societies cause more persecution. They cause more discrimination than Christian Western societies. Actually, I have they put actual research, they run an actual sociological model behind it. So actually, no. I can just cite them and say, no, that your theologian is wrong, the sociologists are correct.
Look, Islam historically gave freedom of religion.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm going to scoot down here for a minute.
Why were the Jews flourishing? Why were the Jews flourishing in Spain and persecuting the rest of Christian Europe?
I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian.
No, okay,
if I
you're a
lived under
Christian.
Sharia law, could I proselytize Muslims?
I mean, you can try, but it doesn't mean you don't go anywhere with it.
I can proselytize Muslims under Sharia law.
Yeah,
I can go out and say, yes,
can we add to
please
this?
convert to Christianity.
Right. So we can add to this real quick. So when it comes to rulings and how they.
So where does Christianity say that if you are living under a Christian state, you can proselytize and invite the public to Islam or any other faith? Where does Christianity say that? That is not a Christian value. That is a modern liberal value. The Bible says otherwise. The Bible says you cannot do that. Where does the Bible say that in a Christian state ruled by the principles of the Bible, that you could go around as a non-Christian and invite the public to other faiths, to apostasy? As a matter of fact, up until a century ago, Christians were butchering each other. They had apostasy laws. The Catholic Church had apostasy laws. They had heresy laws. If you preached heresy, if you were a Socinian, if you're an Arian, if you're a modalist, if you're a Protestant, then you are to be burnt at stake. There are many Socinians and Unitarians who were burnt at stake by Calvin himself. You guys know our buddy Calvin? You know, Calvin was an extremist. Calvin was what you could say an ISIS member by these guys' standard. The Catholic Church, according to them, would be a T state because they applied these rulings. They had apostasy laws. They had all of these things. Okay, so this is not a Christian value. This is a liberal value.
Applied throughout history, we'd obviously have to use like a bigger sample size in terms of when you look at, for example, how Umar ibn Khattab teaches the Jews.
Just answer the question. Can I proselytize?
Real quick.
Biblically speaking, you can't.
Exactly. You cannot. So no, I do not have freedom of
Biblically
religion.
speaking.
You don't have freedom of religion.
Yo, this guy just cooked himself. What do you? They said, biblically speaking, you can't. Exactly. You don't have freedom. Yes, exactly. That's right. Yo, clip it. Clip that. Clip it. You just fried yourself. Yo, who's going to clip that? Yo, who's going to clip that? Dude, you just got fried. You lost. Hey, you lost. You lost. How does it feel to lose to a woman? Huh? How does it feel to lose?
I don't think it hurt.
Exactly.
According to Deuteronomy
I don't think it
13,
hurt.
once.
Yeah.
We're
You
talking
would
about
have your
Islam.
whole city committed genocide.
No, we're talking about Islam. Answer the question. Under
Bye bye to your
Sharia,
city.
under Sharia,
Under Sharia,
can
you
I
can't, and under
proselytize?
Christianity, you can't.
Okay,
under
so
both.
there we go. So there we go.
Under both.
So under Sharia, no, we do
Notice
not have
he
freedom
doesn't
of
want to-
religion,
that's
as
the
I just
Christian
said.
part.
I cannot proselytize. Do
So
you disagree with that?
why were the Jews?
Do you disagree with that?
Why were the Jews in Spain for 800 years during Muslim rule?
No,
Muslim rule, and
Unc.
why, when the Muslims were kicked out, why did the
Unc, you just let him run away from the point, man. Oh my God. Unc, they caught him. They caught him there. And now you're talking about the Spanish Inquisition. Ah, come on, man. Oh my God. They got him, man. And now you're talking about the Spanish Inquisition.
Jews go to Muslim areas? Why did they go to Morocco? Why did they go to Iran and Turkey and the rest of North Africa? Why did they go?
Because they got kicked out. That doesn't change the
Why did they
point.
get kicked out? They got kicked out. They got why did they get kicked out? They got kicked out. They were previously tolerated and flourished in Muslim Spain.
No,
Yes.
that's a myth. That's a myth.
That's not a myth.
according to
That's
Maimonides.
not a
Hold
myth.
up.
That's not a myth.
You've
That's
been
not a
talking.
myth. That's
You've been
not- I haven't been
talking.
talking at all.
You've been talking.
By the way,
Maimonides said no. The Ishmaelites have been the worst people to us, and they forced them to convert under the Almohad Empire. So no,
You're talking
there was-
about Ottoman
hold
Empire.
on.
I'm not talking about Ottoman Empire. It was
You were just talking about
The same guy in
Spain.
Muslim
Spain is not part of the Ottoman Empire.
Wow.
Spain was not part.
Did he just say the Ottoman Empire controlled Spain? Wow. So the Romans are Ottomans. The Ottoman Empire controlled Spain. Wow. Wow, IP, you are great, man. You are just wow, man, you're fantastic at this, brother. So the Muslims that were ruling Spain and Morocco at the time, Maimonides was living. Yes, they were oppressive to Jews. But that's one Islamic state out of many. That's one Islamic state out of many. So yes, there was some Islamic states who kicked Jews out and stuff like that. That's fine. We don't have a problem with that. But that doesn't mean that Jews didn't flourish and have their golden age under Muslims in Islamic Spain. Let's continue.
The Ottoman Empire.
No, I said Almohad.
Are you saying it right?
Almohad. You don't know who the Almohads are?
Muwahhidun?
The Almohad. My goodness.
It's not my fault. You're saying words wrong.
You know who the Almoravids are? So in Spain, so let's do some history here because I don't think you know it. Okay, so the Almoravids come in after the collapse of the caliphate in there under the House of Cordoba. They take over.
You're talking about Wahidun.
In Spain, in Al-Andalus, okay? Then after that comes in the Almohads and they rule in Spain. Maimonides is living under them. Maimonides said the Ishmaelites have been the worst to us of all.
That's fine. We already agreed that there have been Islamic states who didn't treat Jews very well. That's not an issue. How does that mean that the Jews did not flourish under any Islamic state?
People. They oppressed, they forced convert, they had all sorts of sex slavery going on. It was awful. So this idea that you have, you don't even know the history. You don't even know who the Almohads are. So how do you know this was such a good time?
I'll give you one even earlier.
So he's mispronouncing the name, and he wants to tell people that he doesn't know, that they don't know the history and they don't know who Almohads are. The guy is mispronouncing the name, and he wants to tell others that they don't know. I mean, this guy is he has no self-awareness whatsoever.
Here, okay, during the time period of Umar radiallahu anh. So the second caliph of Muhammad, peace be upon him. So it says here, this is Moshe Gill's book, okay, so he's a Jew. He says, similarly, his contemporary Salman bin Yerubim, in his Arabic commentary, he wrote, as we know, the temple remained in the hands of the Romans for more than 500 years, and they did not succeed in entering Jerusalem, speaking about the Jews. And anyone who did this was recognized as a Jew, was put to death. But when the Romans left it by the mercy...
That quote is from a book called The History of Jerusalem by a Jewish historian called Moshe Gill. She's reading from page 69, 70, and 71, where contemporaries are saying, Jewish contemporaries are saying from the 7th, 9th, 8th, 9th century, are saying that the Muslims are the ones who freed the Jews by the mercy of the God of Israel. Contrary to that, you have Jerome, who says otherwise. Jerome, who says that when the Christians ruled, when the Jews would come to Jerusalem, they were recognized, they would be butchered on the spot right away.
Of the God of Israel, and the kingdom of Ishmael was victorious. Israel was permitted to come and to live. So this is under the Islamic rule of Omar radiallahu anh. He's the one who allows for them. I could quote you another reference where he talks about how he's the one who invited 70 families from the Jews to come back into Jerusalem. To save them from the Christians.
The Catholic Christians?
The Catholic Christians.
Oh, the Roman Christians?
So
okay.
Let's now address it. Now, so where are the Jews now living today?
Yeah, many different places of the world.
The numbers have depleted throughout the Middle East because of horrible oppression that is happening.
Are you going to address the point of Umar al-Khattab?
I'm going to address it, yeah.
Why does Lubiano have this memory when it comes to the Quran? You're right, man. You're right. I should have this memory when it comes to the Quran. Unfortunately, I have a better memory when it comes to these texts. Well, first, because I don't have to memorize them word by word with correct pronunciation. Second is because most of my research is polemics and apologetics, right? Rather, when you open up the Quran, you're not doing it for polemics and apologetics, rather you're doing it for worship. So yes, you're right. I should memorize more Quran. Make dua for me that I memorize more Quran. That all of us memorize more Quran and we come closer to Kitabullah Azza wa Jal. That's a good observation, though.
Man, my goodness, man. It's 4 people versus 1. They won't even let me talk. It's insane.
Yeah, we keep talking about the topic that we're bringing up.
We're talking about what is better. And as both of these religions have developed societies, clearly the Christian West has allowed a lot more religious freedom, as the sociological research shows. Again, the book, The Price of Freedom Denied, shows that in the Middle East, Jews, Christian, heterodox groups, like the Alawites, for example, or the Baha'i, they are being oppressed on high levels.
The Alawites.
Versus what's happening in the West. So yeah, as these religions develop societies, Christianity has led to far less oppression than what we see in Islam. This is backed by research.
You mean liberalism has led to far less aggression? This idea of accepting everybody and respecting everybody, no matter who they are, has led to this notion. But if you go to medieval Christendom, and if you're a Muslim in medieval Christendom, you guys won't believe, if you open up the books, because look, there's a difference between, historically, the Eastern Christians and the Western Christians. The Eastern Christians were familiar with Islam. They interacted with Muslims from the very beginning, early period. However, the Western Christians had no idea about Islam. So can you believe that when the Crusades were going on, they were spreading rumors about Muslims that these guys, you're going to go fight. They believe in moon gods. They believe in the stars. They worship idols. They didn't even know what Islam was. These guys don't show them any mercy. They worship the stars and the moon. They're completely foreign, right? So the Western Christians had no idea what Islam was. They had no idea what they were fighting. And so that's why you have chronicles from Western Christians that when they entered Jerusalem, they butchered kids and women. By their own admission, we were swimming in the blood of the pagan Muslims. We were swimming in their blood up to their knees. We left nobody alive. We left no woman or child alive. So this is what happened in medieval Christendom when Christians held to more fundamental views. They were more biblically aligned. But now, when they aren't, obviously, because they're holding to now secular and liberal views of tolerance and mutual respect and so on and so forth, obviously now that's gonna change, right?
Therefore, Christianity is better for society. By the way, Jonathan Fox found similar results.
Okay, so historically speaking, right, because that's what we were talking about earlier, but now you're bringing back Western Christianity, which I don't even agree there is such a thing. It's going to be, if there is, it's going to be in like places like Brazil or South America or anything. Not here in the US though. So when it comes to Christianity historically, are you trying to make the claim that there was not, persecution of individuals who tried to proselyte? Really?
I'm not saying there was no persecution on either side.
Okay, I thought you were saying, okay. So there was.
Which is better.
So wait.
It's about which is better.
Hold on. So Christianity does allow for that, correct?
No.
No? Deuteronomy 13 doesn't allow for that?
No,
it doesn't tell you to stone people who call you to another God that's not the God of Israel?
The new covenant.
Is that the same God?
Deuteronomy
is it the
the new
same
covenant?
God?
What is the new covenant?
That's it right there. That is it right there. IP is finished. Remember, IP's point earlier was about an all-knowing God. It has nothing to do with what is applicable now or not. It's about an all-knowing God, guys. Remember, you're a moral relativist. Remember, guys? Remember, if you reject the idea, the command of an all-knowing God, then this command should be applicable everywhere because he's all-knowing. But if that changes, then you become a moral relativist according to him. Right, guys? IP is an atheist. Hashtag IP is an atheist. He lost. This is proof. I bet if you, because I haven't seen the comments on this video, but I bet if you were to go on the comments of this video, you are gonna find brain dead robot Christians clapping and bouncing for this guy. But this shows you that these bots are actually are lost. They're either dishonest or they're lost because IP is getting obliterated right now. IP is actually getting destroyed right now. IP can't keep up. And the difference between IP and logic is that although both of them get destroyed, at least logic has some rhetoric to kind of hide the fact that he's getting destroyed. IP has no substance or rhetoric. He's a soy boy. He has no rhetoric to make up for his, intellectual demolition that he's going through. And without the rhetoric, you see that he's getting destroyed. He's getting it's crazy. It's crazy. He's just wow.
Is it the same God?
Yeah, it's the
It
same
is the same
God.
God, and he prescribed that in the past, correct?
So okay,
it was something more.
Am I going to be able to respond here?
Wait, did he
Am I
prescribe
gonna
or not?
respond?
You can
Yeah,
respond. He's asking-
I just want you to engage in
Now
it.
now we need to talk about this because you're bringing this up. So
Sure.
Deuteronomy is didactic and exhortational in the laws it's laying down. This is according to mainstream scholarship today. Didactic and exhortation.
To engage in
now
it,
now we need to talk about this because you're bringing this up. So
Sure.
Deuteronomy is didactic and exhortational in the laws it's laying down. This is according to mainstream scholarship today. It's not laying down minimal sentences. It's expressing the moral importance. You can read, for example, Dilbert Hillers. You can read John Walton on this. You can read, for example,
What's the
Kenneth
evidence? Is
My
the Bible?
goodness, man. My goodness. You can read Kenneth Bergman.
Right.
So that's the thing. This is irrelevant because the marching orders for Christianity are not Deuteronomy, which again is didactic.
He is not answering. Was it revealed by the same all-knowing, morally good God who cannot do wrong or err? Now he's talking about just gibberating. He is gibberating. IP lost. This is it. That's the matter of fact.
Didactic. It's pointing forward to something greater and more important. The marching orders are the new covenant.
It's guys. Who watches me here? If you guys watch, for those of you who watch me here a lot, you guys know, and I told you that, be ready that when you interact with a Christian, there will be a lot of poetry. Do I not say that? Do I not tell you guys that how Christians interact with criticism is poetry? Yes? They become poets. They become Mauritanians. Yes? What the heck does it mean that, oh, the command where God tells you that you have to kill the person who preaches another God? Oh, it's pointing to something beautiful and great. Okay. What is that? What does that mean? It's didactic. It's pointing. What are you talking about? This is poetry. This is the Wizard of Oz. This is sorcery. This is straight. It's pointing to something great. Okay, Martin Luther, nice man. How does that change the fact that God commanded it? I told you guys, Christian defense rhetoric is just poetry. It's just straight poetry. It doesn't actually engage with the substance at hand. It's just poetry. It's Harry Potter.
So no, that is not a law prescribed to Christians. It has nothing to do with the topic. And now you're basically saying, yeah, we think that happens in Islam, this killing of apostates. Yeah, that's bad for society. Guess what? Christianity doesn't allow it. You just gave me another reason why Christianity is better.
Good. So why does Thomas Aquinas, who's a Christian, obviously he was I believe he's a Catholic, right? He's a saint. He quotes the book of Hebrews, which presumably I think you take the position it was written by Paul, but maybe not. Okay. So in Hebrews 10, it says, where is that? Sorry, second. So Paul quotes an Old Testament law that doesn't necessitate that he upholds it or believes it. Okay, in Hebrews 10, he's talking essentially about the heretics and how they should be alive, but he says.
So what's the verse? I want to pull the verse
I
up.
believe it's Hebrews 10, verse 28 and 29.
Hebrews 10, 28 and 29.
Yeah,
Okay.
so he's quoting the Old Testament and saying or rather he's vaguely quoting it and saying that a heretic or somebody who's going against God, that person should be unalived, but their judgment is going to come from God. Now, wait, hold on. Thomas Aquinas, a Catholic theologian, a saint of the church, right? What does he say? In Summa Theologica, he says, St. Thomas Aquinas, on whether heretics ought to be tolerated. This is question 11, article 3. It says, with regard to heretics, 2 points must be observed, one on their own side, the other on the side of the church. On their own side, there is the sin, whereby they deserve not only to be separated from the church by excommunication, but also to be severed from the world by death. For it is a much...
You guys hear what Timmy boy Thomas Aquinas said? You guys hear what Timmy said? Now listen to what Mikey says. Guys, in response to this.
Much graver matter to corrupt the faith which quickens the soul, than to forge money which supports temporal life. Wherefore, if forgers of money and other evildoers are forthwith condemned but to the death by the secular authority, etc., etc.
So can we read the verse now?
Yeah.
Okay, so
I already
anyone
told
who
you
has
the
set
verses.
aside the law of Moses dies without mercy on the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses. How much worse punishment do you think will be deserved by the one who has trampled underfoot the Son of God and has profaned the blood of the covenant by which he was sanctified and has outraged the spirit of grace? So this is not prescribed. This is talking about basically what does someone deserve?
Did I not say that? I literally said that.
There we go.
So he agrees Muslims in their states give people what they deserve. Christians don't give people what they deserve. Oh, so he doesn't actually think Muslims are doing anything morally wrong against God. Because Muslims are just giving people what they deserve according to God's law. Checkmate. You just lost again. IP, you lost. This is what happens when you try so hard to reject your tradition, to reject your literature, to reject your saints and your scholars and throw them all under the bus for your cucklord liberal gods and lords. How dare you? How dare you reject the Catholic Church for the sake of your liberal lords? How dare you reject the Orthodox Church for the sake of your liberal gods and masters? How dare you reject the tradition of the Church Fathers? How dare you, Mikey boy? How dare you do this to your tradition for the sake of your liberal lords? Huh? You are not defending your tradition and heritage. You are defending your secular atheistic views. This is what you're doing. Good guy, IP.
Thomas Aquinas
quotes it. Sir, I said Aquinas quotes it. Okay, we're talking about Christianity historically. Okay,
Right.
and historically, Christians used to allow for the unalivement of heretics. They used to allow for the unalivement of Jews, as I already gave you the references for. You're not engaging with that.
So do
You're
they now?
literally just saying, sir.
Wait,
Yeah, it
go
depends on where
ahead.
you're
So
talking about, but yeah.
Do they now? So Christianity back then used to be terrible for society. Christianity now is good for society. Do you guys see why I asked a very important question earlier? What satisfies a value such that it becomes a Christian value? What satisfies a value such that it becomes a Christian value? Because according to the devastating concession Mikey boy from Expiring Philosophy has just given us, Christianity before was bad for society. Christianity today is good for society, which tells us that these values are not biblical. They have no connection to the religion itself. Rather, they have connection to the development of human society after the Enlightenment period. So thank you, Michael Jones, for conceding that you lost today. Thank you, Itachi. Fantastic job. Doing fantastic.
I want to comment on that. So what
I
you're
gotta
taking
respond to what you had said. I would like to respond to what you said.
Well, listen, you can jump in, right? So what we're doing is that we're looking at a period sample size, right? For example, looking at like 1998 to like 2010, right? And we're taking that sample size and we're saying, hey, based upon that, Christianity yields the better results. But why can't we extend the sample size back? Why can't we do that?
Great, absolutely. I want to do that. Yeah,
if we do take that back, would you agree that we can find historical instances where the Jews are oppressed by the Christians?
Yes, I never denied that.
Beautiful.
This is how you answer questions. You see what I'm doing? I say yes, and then I expound. You should try that sometime.
Thank you. Right. So if we do take the sample size back, we see that Christianity has also contributed one injustice.
Yeah.
Christianity has
what is the topic? Brian, could you please remind us of the topic?
Right, no, I
would like Brian to remind us.
Bro, what am I listening to right now? Christianity has contributed injustice and oppression and evil in the world. Whose words are those? The evil Labiano? No. They are the words of inspiring philosophy Michael Jones, one of the biggest Christian apologists of our day, with over 500,000 loyal subscribers. Wow, guys, this is amazing. Clip it and ship it now on Twitter. Guys, you have to be clipping this stuff. Clip and ship on Twitter now. Infamous Christian apologist admits and concedes that Christianity has contributed evil and oppression and injustice in the world.
To the topic.
No, I understand that. I just want to know why is the sample size? Why is the sample size from modern day, right? Specifically, looking at a recent period.
Brian, what's the topic?
So can you address that or not?
Let him finish it, please.
Yeah. So we're saying that if we take back the sample size, would we see better results from Islam or Christianity, right?
Brian, what's the topic?
Is Christianity better for society than Islam?
Thank you.
And
there
how are
we
we
go.
going to observe that? Wait, how are we going to observe that IP? Can we observe it
based on what you said?
Can we talk
the
about
historical development of what is producing better society. Right now, the West has clearly produced better society.
Wait, the West is only
My goodness.
According to who, boy? Better according to whom? According to the Bible? No. According to the Bible, Islam is a better society. According to the Bible, Muslims uphold God's laws. So how is it better, and according to whom? According to Donald J. Trump, yes, of course. Because when I walk outside in this Canadian Christian society, what I see is women with booty shorts and crop tops. And I see self-assisted suicide for teenagers. And I see homelessness in the streets and drug abuse and the legality of substances, transgenderism, homosexualism. I see high divorce rates. I see baby mamas and baby daddies everywhere. Is this better? Well, maybe for IP, maybe better. But whether it's better or not becomes relative at that point. All right? For example, when I go to Morocco, a place that is dear to my heart, I think society is better there. I think the family dynamic is greater than the family dynamic here in the West. I think marriages function better. I think there's lower crime rates. Well, of course, economically, it's not better. There's more economic opportunities here. But if it's about money, then sure, you could have it. The West has more money, has better economic state of affairs. Okay. We concede that, no problem. Do you have better moral societies? No, I don't think so. Maybe it's better for you because you're about to come out in the closet.
Right now in this particular area only.
Right. So, what does Christianity produce? Less child marriage, less oppression. Okay, that is not even up for debate. That has actually been demonstrated by models by Jonathan Fox, Grimm and Finke in their book, The Price of Freedom Denied. It has also produced less cousin marriage, which is also bad for humanity. So yes.
Cousin marriage is bad for humanity. So the Bible is bad for humanity. Because the Bible allows cousin marriage. Can we please clip and ship now? Inspiring, or should I say expiring philosophy has admitted that the Bible is bad for humanity and should be banned now. Are those my words? Nope. The words of infamous Michael Jones has told us the Bible is bad for humanity and should be burnt. We should get rid of it now. Because according to the Bible, cousin marriage is okay before God.
And it's also produced better rights where we're not killing people for abandoning their religion, because that's what Islam teaches.
But that's what the Bible teaches. And why is it better, for example, that we should let homos walk around? Who's it better according to whom? Why is that better? You need to give me an objective standard to judge, or a metric that we can both agree on, that tells us what is better for society and what is not. Is it the Bible? Is it the harm principle? What is it if not the Bible? If it's not God's law and natural law, then what makes something better or worse?
So all these things, yes, Islam is producing far worse societies. This is enough for debate. We can just look at all the facts, and the numbers don't lie.
Yeah, so we want to take this a bit forward, right? Because we also want to be able to critique your conception of what a good society is. Now, when it comes to Christianity or Western Christianity, you would admit that, for example, things like alcohol consumption is allowed. Now, when it comes to alcohol consumption, we see that, for example, 66% of domestic abuse cases are heavily impacted and influenced by alcohol consumption. So the question to you is very simple. If we have a society A, where there is no alcohol consumption, right, and it's completely forbidden, not allowed, and we have society B where it is allowed, which one would yield a better result insofar as domestic abuse, so on and so forth?
So you're saying, let me see if I can stimulate. You're saying if a society is producing less domestic abuse, it's better.
Of course.
Okay. Beautiful. There's a great study.
I just point out alcohol consumption.
Okay, there's a great study called Intimate Partner Violence in Muslim Communities, showing that yes, there is more intimate partner.
He's not answering the question. Why is IP? I wonder why IP is not answering the question. Why is he not answering? Why is he doing a red herring? Why is he not answering the fantastic point that Amir just brought up?
Violence in Muslim communities. So even with alcohol, you guys are still having more abuse of women, psychological, physical, sexual, emotional abuse in your societies. Right. So even on that point, this works against you.
So again, the example, the question that I asked was specific regarding which society would be better, one that doesn't have alcohol consumption and one that does.
Depends on how much abuse it causes.
Okay, beautiful.
It's about the effects.
So, if one causes high domestic abuse due to the alcohol, it would be worse, right?
Wait. So if it causes more,
Right.
He's not
okay, yeah,
answering.
it doesn't.
No. Again, just to be very clear, what I'm saying is if we have a society where there is alcohol consumption that would lead to domestic abuse, and we have a society that does have alcohol consumption that doesn't lead to domestic abuse, which one would be better?
The one that has less abuse.
Thank you so much.
Okay, which is the West.
So again, Islam as a religion does
not
allow
answering-
alcohol consumption,
he's not answering
which
the
doesn't
question.
contribute to the mass domestic abuse that is due to alcoholism that is found within the West.
It's causing more abuse regardless. This is
Thank
what
you.
the research
Wait,
shows.
a society without alcohol
hold
would
on,
be better,
no. I let you talk for a little while. Your whole thing was like, we're going to go on. The society that's better is the one that is causing less abuse. The research shows, multiple reviews have found that it is actually Muslim communities producing more abuse of
What's
their
the sample
women.
size?
What's the sample size? It's been done in I can pull it up right here if you want. I can pull it up.
Because yeah, go ahead, put it up. Yeah.
So I told you the name of the paper, Intimate Partner Violence in Muslim Communities.
What's the time and the location as well?
So they looked at multiple countries. So that's important. So they were not just looking at one; they looked at several over several years, for example.
Right.
So this was several studies here. So hold on, let me pull this up here. The first one is Intimate Partner Violence in Muslim Communities. Okay, the study. There's
Guys, let's do a little activity here. Which causes more domestic abuse? The society that allows for divorce, or the society that doesn't allow for divorce? Let's say a man beats the living shit out of his wife, and she's not able to get divorced because the only condition that makes a divorce permissible is cheating. If the man cheats on her. Oh, but the West allows for divorce, so it's a better society. But guess what doesn't allow for divorce? Christianity. So what IP is arguing for is a society that is nominally Christian, but doesn't actually exercise Christian values. As long as the sample size is predominantly nominally Christian, whether they practice Christianity or not is irrelevant. So that's what IP is defending. You see the problem here? You see the problem here. This is why we always have to ask what constitutes a Christian value versus a non-Christian value. It seems to me that IP thinks it's as long as a demographic is predominantly Christian, then whatever values they agree on would become a Christian value, which is just not the case. It's just not the case. It can't be the case.
It's like multiple studies authors. So like Bonita Sharma, for example. Kenneth Flaglin. The second paper.
Do you know the second paper
is Muslim women experience of domestic violence and abuse, a meta-ethnography of global evidence. And they specifically cite religious motivations coming from Islam.
What is the religious? Yeah, go ahead, prove it.
What are you talking about? You
So
read it?
when it cites religious motivations, what is the religious motivation they're quoting?
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. Here, so cultural beliefs often influence Islamic
Cultural.
values within a society.
Cultural?
What?
Okay. I thought you said religious.
Let me read. Let me read from the paper.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
I'm reading from the Muslim women experience of domestic violence and abuse, a meta-ethnography. Okay, cultural belief often influence Islamic values within a society. These religious values and beliefs were subject to the interpretation and guidance of religious leaders. Sharia law plays a role in shaping the behavior of many individuals within a
Can you
community.
give the evidence? Within Sharia
My
law?
goodness, he asked me to read a quote. You don't want to read the quote.
I'm asking something very specific here. What is
Sharia law
what is the
dictated.
evidence?
Sharia law.
Whoa there, buddy. Relax. Take it easy, man. It's okay. Inhale, exhale. It's fine, man. It's okay, buddy. It's not that deep, bro. Cool it. Relax. Don't be mad. It's okay. This is not you, Mikey. Mikey, this is not you. Calm down. Let's see that one more time. See that one more time.
Shaping the behavior of many individuals within a
Can you
community.
give the evidence within Sharia
My
law?
goodness, he asked me to read a quote.
Because
Don't read the quote.
I'm asking very.
Relax. It's okay. It's fine, man. I could see your vein pop up through your neck. It's okay, dude. It's not that deep. We could see the outline of your veins. It's not healthy, man. Maybe you need to take a breather. Maybe you need a break from losing.
Something very specific here. What is
Sharia law
what is the
dictated.
evidence?
Sharia law dictated that women must be obedient to their husbands. Men felt empowered to punish their wives if they perceived them as.
So the study says that the religious ruling that a woman must be obedient is the religious driving factor for the domestic violence. So if Christians apply the biblical principle of obedience to the husband, then the Christian society would produce the same exact result, wouldn't it? So IP, you have again exposed yourself for defending a non-biblical society, a liberal society where women don't have to obey their husbands. You see? You see the problem, guys?
Disobedient. Then it goes on to say it is evident that religious beliefs were a strong influence on women's acceptance of DVA and reluctant to leave and seek help.
Beautiful. So again, regarding a specific topic, now let's quote the Sharia. The Messenger himself in authentic hadith says those.
Wait, do you acknowledge this shows this?
Yeah, I'm responding to it.
So you acknowledge this shows there's more violence.
I
There's
know
more
that's
violence in Muslim
that's what
communities.
she says. I'm responding to the
That's not what he
paper.
even said. He said that the effect of them not wanting to leave is due to
It's evident that religious was a strong influence on women's acceptance of DVA.
Right,
So-
but it's not them actually committing the act. It's just the women.
Exactly.
The prior quote shows that
but
yes,
them
they
actually
are.
committing the act was due to culture.
Do I need to read the other one
Yeah,
too?
it
Because
says,
yeah,
it says culture in the
So-
first sentence.
Yeah, so I don't know what you're doing. You're just misquoting these.
and even
no, it shows that there's more
Can-
violence in there, and the women are also
Can
accepting.
you just read the first sentence again?
Yeah, because of culture.
Yeah, culture beliefs often influence Islamic values. in
Exactly. So,
society.
Wow,
okay,
man.
so this goes back.
I'm not saying it's just
hold on,
Islamic.
hold on. I
That's
know,
a
I know.
part of it.
Okay.
But they
Again, guys, even if we were to grant this, the person or the people that are doing the study, right? If they view that a woman being absolutely obedient to her husband as oppression, okay, our societies are oppressive then. And what? If being obedient to your husband is considered oppression, then we're the most oppressive. Thank you. You're not proving anything here. All you're doing is you're just saying that our Islamic values are oppressive according to you. Okay. Cry about it. If being obedient to your husband is oppressive, then we're the most oppressive. Doesn't matter. You're still not showing how this is biblically immoral. Because our moral framework should be what God sees as permissible and pleasing. So, if according to you, a woman being in absolute subjection to her husband is something bad and oppressive, and that's the standard you want to take, be my guest. We do not care. I promise, we do not care. It's that simple.
do say religious as well.
Okay, so
it's
if it's
gotta
not
do
a
with culture.
sufficient cause, then you can't attribute the actual cause to Islam.
Yes, I
It has
can.
to- no, you can't. It's not
Yes.
a sufficient cause.
Yeah,
Okay,
because you
so
don't understand
does it
how
happen
sociology
in-
works.
So this is
Hold on, you
wait,
don't understand how
wait, wait.
sociology works.
Hold on. You
Multiple
don't
factors.
understand
There's
how Mill's
cultural,
method of differences
religious.
works.
There's poverty as well. But
Right.
Islam is also one of the factors according
Right,
to the
okay,
study.
but it is not a sufficient cause. That's the point. If it was a sufficient cause, then Islam would.
If poverty is a bad thing, then denounce Jesus, because Jesus actually prefers the poor and says that the poor are more beloved to God and they will enter the kingdom of heaven. So if Islam makes you poor, then Islam makes you more biblically aligned. If Christianity makes you rich, then Christianity makes you less biblically aligned. So you guys see how this guy is actually not defending a biblical society. He's defending a liberal, materialistic society. Blessed are the poor, for they shall inherit the kingdom of God. It is harder for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven than for a needle to pass through, or for a camel to pass through a needle. It seems like Islam promotes a biblical lifestyle, while you are promoting a non-biblical, materialistic, atheistic, liberal, secularist lifestyle. You see, IP, you lost again. You keep losing.
Be the only and key factor of it.
No, that's never
what a sufficient cause is.
No, that does not make sense at all.
So is Islam a sufficient cause?
Islam is a factor that leads to more
I didn't
violence.
ask that. I asked you, is it a sufficient cause?
That is irrelevant to the study.
No, it is
No,
literally
it's not.
not. I'm asking you, is it a sufficient cause to
My
say that
goodness.
Islam allows for domestic
Islam
abuse
is a
to
motivating
any
factor
society?
that leads to more violence, according to these studies.
He doesn't want to
Can you
engage.
answer a question?
You don't want to engage.
The question,
Thank you.
what is the question? It's not following what I'm actually saying.
I know.
Because you're asking
Islam-
something
You're
gonna
irrelevant to my
engage,
point.
Good, let's just
Because I
let's-
asked it before. You didn't want to address it before either.
Ask the
Okay.
question, and then we'll get a clear answer.
Is
Okay.
Islam a sufficient cause as it pertains to this type of violence towards women?
Okay, what do you mean by sufficient cause?
Sufficient cause meaning that it's the only thing which is necessary, such that
No.
we would observe it to a.
So expiring philosophy is a philosopher who has I think PhD or not PhD. He has multiple degrees in philosophy and he doesn't know what a sufficient cause is. He does not know what a sufficient cause is, ladies and gents. Wow. A Muslim lady is teaching him what he should already know from his degree, from his successful society. A Muslim woman from the oppressive society is teaching him the philosophy that his successful society was supposed to teach him. Oh.
In every single Islamic society.
That is
it the
irrelevant.
case?
No, that's
I
irrelevant to my
asked you if
point.
it's irrelevant.
no.
I asked
He
you
said
if-
no.
Oh,
I
no.
said no.
Okay, good.
See, I answered
Okay,
questions.
good,
See
good.
how it
Yeah, you
works?
finally answered the
So,
question.
no, it is irrelevant.
Good.
Okay.
So, no, it's not no, it's irrelevant. Is it a yes or no? Okay.
It is not, because you don't understand how
I didn't
sociology
ask him
works.
if it's irrelevant.
Let
I
me
asked
explain
him,
how sociology
is it the
works.
case that it is or isn't?
Let me
Now
explain how
you can see he's
sociology
not
works.
answering the question.
Let me explain how
Pulling a
sociology
God
works.
logic right now. She wants a yes or no.
Okay, let me explain how sociology works.
I don't need an explanation.
We want a God logic, yes or no?
Yeah, we're gonna
God
logic.
logic.
We're gonna call
We want the God
God
logic.
logic like yes or no.
Okay, okay.
I've minored in criminology.
Okay.
I've minored in
So that
sociology.
you,
I want
wait,
you
you
to
minored in,
engage.
you minored in sociology.
Yes. The Muslim woman is educating you and pulling her credentials, Mikey boy. You heard that? She minored in criminology and sociology, boy, and she wants a direct answer, boy. So give her the yes or no. Now. Stop running and deflecting.
Yes.
So that you understand that when a study is performed, they have to look at multiple factors.
Exactly.
Great.
So what I'm asking you, and you don't want to engage with, is I'm asking you, is Islam sufficient on its own to produce these results, yes or no?
Never in sociology will that be the answer.
Oh my God. Okay.
Never.
So is it, no,
I
is it
said
the case,
no.
yes or no?
Perfect.
I said no.
She
Because
said
that's
no.
not
Okay,
how
good.
sociology
Okay,
works.
Good.
You understand? You
So
said
I'm
you
not
mattered.
asking
You should know
only-
how this works. Let's go back to his point. He said the society that produces more abuse is going to have is going to be worse. I'm bringing studies like intimate partner violence in Muslim communities. To quote, in general, these studies found high prevalent levels of IPV among Muslims living in the US and globally. Consistent with IPV research in general, verbal and psychological abuse was found most prevalent, followed by physical, sexual, and fatal. Individual, family, and interlocking social problems, traditional beliefs, and spirituality, immigration-related stressors were associated. There. See, I didn't say it's the only thing.
Good.
Okay. With
So
IPV,
it's not engaging with my answer, my question.
goodness. Studies on beliefs of IPV found that there tended to be higher leniency and justification of abuse in Muslim cultures than is the Western norm. So
Good.
by
Doesn't
that
address my
logic,
question.
hold up, back to that logic. By that logic, you guys have accidentally conceded Muslim societies.
Doesn't say then Christian societies, it says then the Western norm. Are you guys catching up or not? Are you guys seeing what's happening here or not? Between Muslim society and the Western norm. Not the Christian norm, the Western norm. Are you guys catching up on what's happening here?
Are worse because there's more abuse according to the data.
Doesn't address my question. Okay.
Because
My
that's not
question,
your
because we're
question's on the
talking about
topic.
Islam. Okay, we're talking about Islam as it pertains for societies. Okay, if there are Islamic societies such that this does not occur, then you cannot say that Islam is going to be the sufficient cause in regards to this occurring in a society.
So
that's the whole point.
You have raised the bar to extreme levels where now we can't say anything. Once again, like the last
Don't blame me,
conversation,
blame
you
Mills.
went nuclear. You basically just said we can't use anything
That's a straw
because
man.
we need a.
That's not
That's a
true.
straw man
That's not
argument.
true because, for
Is there
example,
more abuse in Muslim
I'll tell you
communities?
why that's not the case.
Yeah,
I'll tell you why
Is
that's
there
not
more?
the case.
Is there more abuse in Muslim
I'm going to
communities?
tell you why that's not
We'll
the
get
case.
to the point.
I'm going to tell you why that's not the case. Because there are certain aspects of any religious text or any text that we interpret in general. Okay, there are certain aspects such that we can determine that because the vast majority of the people all adhere to it or all accept it within regards to that particular doctrine that we're talking about or anything of the sort, that this is a sufficient cause for it. For example, affirming Tawheed. That is something every Muslim will affirm. Okay. Ergo, we could say it's Quran or Islam in general is a sufficient cause in regards to affirming Tawheed as it pertains to Muslims. But you cannot come to that same conclusion as it pertains to specific laws and rulings because there are different people who have interpreted it in different ways over time, such that they allow culture, society, etc., to influence and impact their decision on their interpretation.
So according to you, we can't know anyway. We can't know anything here. We can't know anything.
I literally just told
Done
you
your
the
response.
opposite.
Done your
I
response.
just
Let's move
told you
forward.
the
Let's move forward.
opposite.
Let's move
Every
forward on
time
this
I
point.
let them
Alright,
talk,
yeah.
notice what's happening. I let them talk. Then I try to talk. They jump in and start interrupting me because they can't handle the data here.
You said,
Oh,
you,
wow.
said you
I'm
can't do
using-
anything. That's all you said.
There they go again.
That's
There they
all
go
you
again.
said.
By the way, as soon as IP said that Islam is not a sufficient cause for these problems, then it follows that his conclusion that Islam produces XY societies is refuted by that very concession. Again, make sure this goes through your head. If Islam as a set of beliefs and theological and sociological and economic framework is not a sufficient cause for these problems, then his conclusion that Islam is bad for society is refuted by his very concession.
Yeah.
Okay.
You said
I'm
it like
going
you're
back to what
done.
you said. You said societies that produce more abuse are going to be worse. We can see the data. Even with alcohol consumption, Muslim societies are producing more abuse. It's in the studies I'm citing. Therefore, Muslim societies produced by Islam are worse than what Christian societies have produced. That's it. That's the debate right there. Thank you for coming.
Let's move to the next point.
Yeah,
Okay.
Right.
Consanguineous marriages,
So-
cousin marriage.
So
Do
again,
you agree cousin marriage is okay?
Yeah, again, so when it comes to exactly what you mean by cousin marriage, is going to be very nuanced. So, for example, in societies where there is a repeated cousin marriage that is explicitly condemned and something that is frowned upon within Islam, Umar ibn Khattab talks about this, and Imam Shafi'i talks about this as well, that if it is going to be repeated, where it is going to cause harm to the child, then it's going to be something that's shouldn't be done. That's what Islam teaches, right? So Islam, where it is implemented, then it's going to cause people followers of that text that there's not going to be repeated cousin marriage. But referring to simply like a one instance cousin marriage, I don't believe that would entail harm necessarily, right? You have to prove that.
So, do you agree there is far more cousin marriage in the Islamic world than in the Western world?
I don't believe that Islam is the cause.
But is there more?
You'd have to read the data. But
so there's a lot more cousin marriage. For example, in Pakistan, the rate's like 65%.
Beautiful.
Okay, so there's a lot more cousin marriage.
How does that mean Islam is the cause? So he's not arguing against Islam as an ideology. He's arguing against specific societies. He just doesn't like Pakistan. Okay? Take it up with the Pakistanis. What does that have to do with Islam? So IP is just arguing against Pakistan. He doesn't like Pakistan. All right, IP, if you don't like Pakistanis, just go argue with Pakistanis. What does this have to do with Islam? Your argument is Islam is not good for society.
Where are they getting that from?
not Islam. Can you prove it's Islam?
Exactly.
Yes,
This literally
I
will
can.
go
Yes.
back to every single one of the points that you bring up in regards to this. Mill's method of difference is going to literally be a thorn for you right now. You don't want to address the fact that it can't be a sufficient cause. If it's the case, it's not occurring in every single Islamic society.
That doesn't follow
the
at all.
crux of the matter.
No. Let me address that. That doesn't follow at all.
Okay,
because
yeah.
there are several factors involved. So, for example, in some societies, for example, there's Christianity is everywhere. Okay, but we can say, like, for example, if we go to New Orleans, there's going to be a lot more crime than like Vermont. Okay. Why? Because we know in sociology there are numerous factors. There's a lot more poverty in southern Louisiana, so that's going to be another motivating factor. So that's what happens a lot often in these societies. They factor out those kind of things. But the studies I'm citing have done multivariable analyses. They have factored out things like poverty, like education levels. They still find intimate partner violence, higher levels of child marriage, more oppression and persecution.
I want to focus on.
He just refuted himself. Thank you. So if you go to places where there's more education, less poverty, and predominantly Muslim, there is less cousin marriage. If you go to places where there is more poverty, less education, there's more cousin marriage. But both are Islamic societies. Thank you, IP, for conceding. Thank you, IP, for making the argument for us. The different factors are what derive these numbers. But Islam itself is not a sufficient cause. Thank you, brother. You just made the point for us. You lost again.
Cousin marriage specifically.
Yeah,
I don't
cousin
want to
marriage.
dive from that.
Okay,
Right.
now I want to get back to that point. Okay,
So,
so
can you elaborate
is
the point?
not Muhammad the pattern of conduct for Muslims?
Again,
Okay.
go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I just really quick, and then he could address you on that point. So what I wanted to ask you, or rather say, is when it comes to a motivation, finding a motivation for a particular thing, what he already explained to you is that within our Islamic doctrine, within our Islamic teachings, early on, what we find, both the Caliph as well as people who are contemporary to the Caliph afterwards, they say that this is something which should not be encouraged. Okay, not only should it not be encouraged, but what we find is that they say that it is better for you to go and do something else, so that, and he states the specific reason as to why. He says so that
Why do they say that?
I'll tell you. He says specifically, Imam Shafi'i says specifically, so that your children do not end up as fools. He literally says it
Good,
verbatim. Good.
good.
So there is motivation. Now this is a question I want to ask you.
But he's pulling that nature, right? Nature? Nature, yeah.
I'm not done. Okay. So when it comes to this particular point, what I'm asking you, is there some basis or motivation within Islamic text or theology such that the opposite is also allowed to occur?
Cousin marriage?
The opposite. So not allowing for it, or not encouraging
Okay,
it.
I'm confused about what you're asking.
Yeah,
Are you asking,
specifically-
does the Islamic text allow cousin marriage?
Does it allow for it insofar as not encouraging the closeness of it? Okay, because saying the word cousin is going to be very vague.
First
Okay,
cousins.
The issue, okay, yeah, sure, first cousin is allowed. But the reason as to why it's not good is because over time, if you continue this particular type of behavior,
Beautiful.
that's what leads to these types of issues, which is exactly what Imam al-Shafi'i and Umar radiallahu anh both state.
Where do they get that
so
from?
I'm asking you, okay, they get it from based off of natural understanding.
Exactly.
Oh my God, he just refuted himself. And when the Bible allows for cousin marriage, and later Christians don't practice it, where do they get it from? Is it Jesus? Nope. Where do they get it from? IP would tell you from nature, from science, from development of, from lack of poverty. So IP concedes again. IP refutes him. You see, the problem with is IP wants to appeal to Islamic principles found in the text, but he doesn't want to appeal to biblical principles found in the text when comparing the Christian societies. For the Christian society, the standard is what Christians now practice and view as good or bad. For the Islamic society, it's not, the standard is not the same. It's what Muslims practice and what text says they ought to practice. So the standard he has for the Christian society and the Muslim society is different. And so here he refutes himself again. This is bad. IP is getting destroyed right now. He is getting beaten. It's not even funny. He's losing terribly.
Exactly. They don't get it from Islam.
Great, so
they get it from science,
mandatory.
from nature. They're not. Islam is allowing
Wait,
cousin
why-
marriage
why-
because
hold on,
again,
real quick,
you
real
won't
quick.
let me show.
Good.
Okay, I let you talk for a while.
Yeah.
Let me now address this. Okay, exactly. They were able to go and go, hey, all these generations of cousin marriages leading to lower IQ and all these birth defects. We shouldn't do this. But they're not getting that from Islam. They're getting that from their understanding of how the.
And where, okay, good. And where are Christians getting this idea that we shouldn't unalive apostates? That we should allow we should allow for a tolerant society? That we shouldn't do cousin marriage? Is it the Bible? No. So according to your own argument, you have refuted yourself. It's self-refuting. Because the justification that Christian societies have is the same justification that you're arguing against. Oh my God, how does he not see this? IP has refuted himself once again. L's in the chat. L's in the chat.
Natural world works. Meanwhile, in Islam, Muhammad married his first cousin. He married his daughters, the first cousins. So according to Islamic teaching, that's why it keeps happening throughout the Islamic world. This is why you have rampant cousin marriage in the Islamic world. Meanwhile, in the West, we have gotten rid of that.
Good. Notice what the issue is. It's not specifically marrying first cousins. The issue that they highlight is that over time, if it's done repeatedly, that's where the issue occurs, correct?
Where does Islam say that just don't do it repeatedly?
They're literally the sources that we use. So if we're going to go based off of an Islamic standard, then according to the Quran, you follow these contemporaries of Muhammad, peace be upon him, such
But
as
they're not
Umar
getting that
radiallahu
from
anh.
Muhammad or the
Hold on,
Quran.
hold on. The Quran tells you to follow in their example. If we're going to follow in their example and follow in what they say, such that it's not something that contradicts Islam, there's no issue with accepting what they say. So ergo, they do have basis for making these statements, because when the Quran, for example, talks about taking from people of knowledge, okay, people of knowledge is going to be an expert or expert to having an.
Does he not know that he's doing an internal critique? And internally within our Islamic framework, the statements of the Sahaba are evidence. They are Shari'i evidence. So you can't have it both ways, brother. You can't have it both ways. The statements of the Sahaba in Islam are Shari'i evidence. So yes, Islam does say it. So on both sides, on both points, you have refuted yourself.
Expertise in that specific field. So if there are individuals who are Muslims at that time and they have some sort of expertise in the field of, marriage and how this occurs in society and so on and so forth, if they say that over time what they see is that due to doing it multiple different times, right, or interbreeding multiple different times between first cousins, what it leads to is a deterioration of, whether it be brains or anything of the sort. And then this is something that should be avoided. You are to listen to them according to the Quran, and there's no issue with that.
All right, now. I just want to notice what happened. I let her respond. She went on for a good minute there. I wonder if I'm going to get to do that. Let's see if I can get this.
Go ahead. Don't ask questions.
Okay, so once again, they're getting that from their understanding of nature. That's my point. But again, now we got to go back to the broader picture. What is actually happening? Islamic societies are producing societies that have rampant cousin marriage, and they're having lower IQs, more birth defects. This is also contributing to less economic progress, okay? Because Western societies have actually gotten rid of it. They've gotten rid of it. It's all done away with. Very low, less than like.
Okay, now let's use IP's argument against him. They've gotten rid of it based on what? Where does the Bible say that? That's his argument. He said, well, where does Islam say that? Okay, where does the Bible say get rid of it? Does the Bible say that? Nope. It says the opposite. So again, you have refuted yourself, Mr. Inspiring Philosophy. You're a hypocrite. You're not applying the same standards you're using, the same metric you're using to judge Islamic societies with Christian societies, and you keep conflating between Christian societies and Western societies. These are categorically distinct. They are not the same thing. I'm very, very disappointed in IP's performance today. I genuinely believe that his performance today was terrible. The performance is absolutely terrible today. There's no doubt about that. And I am very proud in how the new generation of du'at are handling these guys. We are crushing them. We are revolutionizing. I'm telling you, you guys are not ready for the new generation, man. You guys are not ready for the new gen. And everybody could see it. Everybody could see that reality. Brother, you are the new gen. I know I am. That's why I said we are destroying these guys. We're destroying these guys. There's no doubt about that.
1% in the West, for example. Okay, that just means we're producing better societies. Now, if you want to say, well, that Islam is not the motivating factor, I'm using your standard now. You're going to scientific aspects, people studying nature. So by your own admission, the standard you set up earlier, they're not getting that. They're not getting the idea that cousin marriage is bad from Islam. If we go to what Islam just says, guess what's happening? Cousin marriage is allowed and it's growing. Then we just need to look at societies at large. What's happening? The West is producing far better societies because we have higher IQs, because we have less cousin marriage. That is a contributing factor, okay? And then I'm almost done. Meanwhile, Islamic societies are producing worse societies, more child marriage, more abuse, and now we know more cousin marriage, which lowers the collective IQ. This is bad.
Right. So to come to the conclusion that you're saying is that if we look at society X, society Y, for example, we see that X society has something bad compared to this society, but there is a few things that you're not factoring in, right? So for some odd reason, when I said let's take the sample size and spread it even larger, for someone we had an issue with that. I don't believe that taking the sample size bigger, where you can look at more historical context, undermines the prompt in any way, shape, or form, because you're still looking at society, you're still looking at the effect. And just because we see, for example, Western countries that are part of NATO, that have a better economic factors, and we have Muslim countries in the Middle East where they have worse economic factors, where they could be driving, where they are driving factors for these consequences that we see, right? You cannot pin this on Islam and say that this is because of Islam, right? So I would argue that if we take the sample back even further, we can argue for things like alcohol abuse. We can argue for things like unaliving of the Jews, 70,000 Jews being unalived by the Christians, right? And this is from Christian societies. If we take this back, and also one point I want to comment on is that if we appeal to natural law as Muslims, that renders me a moral relativist. It doesn't follow.
That was something different.
Okay.
That's not what
I want to comment on that because for some odd reason you have an issue with Muslims appealing to natural law when natural law is something that is taught within Islam. Why? Because in Sunni Islam, we believe that there is going to be things that are going to be inherently known as immoral or the natural disposition that we can use, aka natural law. So natural law in Islam doesn't contradict taking the messenger to be the moral example because he's the one that sets those standards. And according to the hadith where he explicitly says, La dar wa la dirar, no harm, no reciprocating harm, right? And the only thing you said, oh, well, people interpret it different. Well, the thing is, if you take the traditional view, that anything that entails harm, physical and mental harm, is going to be not allowed. So real quick, would you agree that if we take the sample size back, then there'll be different results from what you're concluding?
You mean history? Is that what you're talking about? Okay. Yeah. We're taking the whole of history here. Okay.
Yeah.
So you just can't go to like, well, maybe like 300 years ago it was different. We have to take the whole of history here. The whole of history shows Christian societies are far better. And one of the results is cousin marriage, consanguineous marriages. They're far more rampant in Islamic societies. So let me give you an analogy to help you with this. Okay. So take Ozempic. Ozempic was produced, they came up with it to help with type 2 diabetes. But then they discovered it also helps with weight loss. So it produced an unintended result. Now, when we look at Christian societies, coming from Christianity, Islamic societies coming from Islam, one of the unintended results is cousin marriage. There's far less in the West, a ton more in the Islamic world. That just shows that Islam is... I almost was done. I'm almost done. So Islam is producing far worse societies because you have rampant cousin marriage.
But why is that? Is it because Christians are adhering to Christian values, to biblical values? Or is it because Christians have historically moved away from biblical values? Which is it? Of course, it's the latter. And because it's the latter, all this proves is that IP thinks a society is better, or a society being better is contingent upon moving away from biblical values. So thank you, IP, for telling us that you prefer a society that is not biblical.
Okay, you may not have intended that, you may not think that is, but this is still just a reality on the ground.
Beautiful. So again, you did concede that if we take the sample size, it will be different. But the studies that you cited don't account for history, IP. You would agree the sample size that you quoted only
because they can't.
Right, exactly. So you would agree that it doesn't account for history, right?
They can't. It's impossible in sociology.
Beautiful, exactly. So when you say that, when you reference a model, for example, where it's like 1988 to like 2010, where you reference a country where it has like bad socioeconomic factors, it would then follow that we would expect there to be worse societies compared to the West, obviously, right? But we can't take that and conclude that Islam is going to be worse for society. Why? Because Islam doesn't inherently teach those things are going to be abhorrent. It doesn't.
We're talking about what these religions have produced. If we look through the whole of history, what has come from Islam? What has come from Christianity? Which has more cousin marriage today? So, the Islamic society or Christian? Which one?
So if I was to take, for example,
which one?
Of course, Islam would be better.
Thank you. Islam has more cousin marriage.
No, Islam would be better.
His question was, which society produced more cousin marriage?
Right. So this is very like crazy because I don't know if we're talking about first cousin or like repeat cousin marriage.
First cousin marriage.
So I don't believe that first cousin marriage was like not repeated is going to be immoral. I don't believe that. We don't.
I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying cousin marriage is necessarily immoral, but it is. For example, eating sugar is not immoral.
Right.
But if you eat a lot of sugar, you're going to affect your health.
So
Likewise, we can set aside the moral issue on the table right now. We can set it aside.
Okay, beautiful.
Regardless, cousin marriage still makes worse societies. You just admitted there is more cousin marriage in Islamic society, and I'm even granting it's just a side effect. Doesn't matter. That shows Islam has produced worse societies. Case closed.
So if I was to take the sample back, when, let's say, for example, 70,000 Jews were unalived by the Christians, right? And wait, we live in at that time. Me and you are living at the time, and we say, hey, look, we see more violence perpetrated by the Christians from the Roman Catholics against the Jews. At that time point, from that time, if we're having the same debate at that time, would then follow that because Christianity is going to be more violent towards Jews, that therefore Islam will be better society?
So again,
would it follow? No.
No.
You have to answer this question.
No. Okay, restate the question because it's so irrelevant to what we're talking about. We're talking about cousin marriage. You're talking about violence.
Yeah, because we're talking about which is better, right?
Yeah, which has produced better societies.
If we're at a time when 70,000 Jews were unalived by the Romans, by the Christians, at that point, and we're having the same debate, and we saw that Christianity or Christian countries will produce more violence, which then agree that at that point, if we're having the same debate, at that point, if we're having the same debate, we would agree that Christianity would have been producing more violence. It would be worse, right?
So in a possible world, not our world, where there's more violence,
right?
Okay, so yeah, if it's producing more violence, it's bad. Guess what? Islam produces more violence.
So it's arbitrary. Thank you.
No,
Historically speaking, Christianity was the worst religion and it got a little
you
bit
just
better
covered
over
yourself.
time.
You don't realize. You said in a possible world, if a society is producing more violence, that's bad. I got some bad news for you. There's been studies shown. For example, Davis Brown's book, War, Religion, in a Secular Age, shows that Christianity has a restrictive war ethic. It produces less interstate armed conflict. Meanwhile, Islam has a permissive war conflict. So not only do we have more child marriage, we have more abuse, we have more cousin marriage, as you admitted. Now we're going on to violence. Guess what? Islamic societies are producing more violence, as the research by Davis Brown, Jonathan Fox, Monica Duffy-Toff has shown. So guess what? In your possible world, when we apply to this reality, it shows Islam is more violent. Thank you for that.
I expose it because now your criteria has become arbitrary.
No, it isn't.
It is.
No.
Because I just shown you that the studies that you're making are based upon factors that are to do with socio-economic factors in the Middle East. No. It doesn't account for all of the issues. And if we were to take, let me finish. If we take that back the sample size to a point where there was violence perpetrated against innocents, women, children, then you would concede in that possible world where it was a reality at some point.
Possible world.
That was
not a reality.
That was a reality at some point. That Christianity would be better.
No, it wasn't.
Thank
no,
you.
it wasn't. Here's the problem.
So
you don't know how these studies work. Okay, they don't just go, a lot of violence happened over there, less violence happened over there, therefore better.
That's
so
strong.
Davis Brown, for example, factors in those socioeconomic factors you were bringing up. So they're taking this kind of stuff in. They're factoring in things like poverty, like education levels, regional disputes, fighting over resources. And after they factor all those things in, they're still finding that Islam is producing more interstate armed conflict.
So what's the evidence for that?
Davis Brown's book, War, Religion, in a Secular Age.
What was the evidence that socioeconomic factors are going to be insignificant in relation to Islam?
The socioeconomic, because he factored them in. He's factoring in,
so he's looking at, how did they factor them in?
So he's looking at multiple.
Going to be
he's looking at multiple countries. Right. So he's looking at countries in North America, Middle East, Europe, Asia, Africa, all around. And then he says, well, okay, now we.
Let's grant this for a second, okay? Let's say, okay, there is more violence, right, in Islamic states, like especially, let's say, in the early period of Islam where there was conquest going on. Okay. Does that make a society worse because there was more violence? No. Who said that all violence is negative or bad? That's only under the view that conquest is a bad thing. That's only under the view that spreading one's control and authority is a bad thing. But we don't concede that. We don't believe that that's a bad thing. We believe that's a good thing, as long as the conditions are met. So why should we concede? Why should we grant that conquest, offensive war for gaining a certain, let's say, certain political control or religious control and authority? Why is that a bad thing? He has to prove that's a bad thing. So the argument contains a hidden presupposition that we don't grant anyway. And again, if we were to biblically judge this, then conquest is most definitely not a bad thing. So what are we even talking about here? We don't grant that violence and conquest is a bad thing to begin with. So the study is irrelevant. It's pointless.
We need to use the model to weigh in certain things. So we need to add a weight to poverty. Because, for example, countries in Europe are going to be richer.
Right.
So we need to now know, could all the interstate armed conflict be coming from higher levels of poverty? Okay, no, we're still finding the variable there even when we factor in poverty. Could it be coming over education levels? Okay. No, we're still finding that. So for example, that's why sociologists run these models.
If you look at like a country like Indonesia, right, where it is a Muslim country, right, where we see that it has a good GDP, where it is performing relatively well, and it's a Muslim country, that would undermine the study done by these researchers in case, I'll tell you why. One, because we're looking at sample size, we're looking at whether or not poverty will essentially be a factor. So we have two countries, both are Muslim, right? One has poverty, one does have poverty, and we see these issues exceedingly happen in countries where there is poverty.
Yes, right? Poverty is a factor that also contributes to interstate armed conflict, just like Islam does, another factor. Yeah, so multiple factors. So if you're a country that is Islamic and poor, you have more violence. If you're a country like, for example, UAE, excuse me, who has wealth but Islam, you're going to have less interstate armed conflict, less wars, less civil wars, that kind of stuff. Poverty is also a factor. I'm not denying there are not other factors, but Islam is still a factor.
That's the whole point, is that you can't just say that it's because of Islam. It is mainly these other factors that are coming into play. Because if it's the case, it's Islam, okay, then you are saying effectively it's a sufficient cause. It literally goes back to every single point that you make.
Okay, so I need to know what you're saying. Are you saying that if there are any other factors involved in society, we cannot say Islam is a cause of more war?
No, that's not what I was saying at all. I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying even if it's the case, there are other factors, okay? It's in order for Islam to be the reason as to why this is the case, it would have to be prevalent in every single one of those Islamic societies, okay? But since it's the case that we observe the opposite, where it's not the case in every single society, so for example, if we're going to take the violence thing, Pakistan versus UAE, right? What we observe is that due to the fact that one of them is more affluent than the other one, there is less violence that is occurring, correct?
More affluent, so if there's more wealth is what you mean? Yeah. More wealth does decrease interstate armed conflict. Another factor.
But both of them have two factors that are being weighted right now. Okay, one of them is going to be the wealth, the other one's going to be Islam in and of itself. Okay, but what we find is that not both of them have these issues occurring in them at the same rate. Correct?
Yeah, not at the same rate. Yeah, that's why they have to be weighed.
So it can't be due to specific. And by the way, that also, the part about the UAE and the violence part, there's still going to be poverty-stricken areas in the UAE, such that those violence or that violent stuff can occur in those areas, right? But typically, the more affluent areas, you don't find that there. Correct?
The more affluent areas, yes, will have less fighting.
Right. It's typically in the areas that have fundamentalist views. Correct?
Not
traditionalist ones.
Yes.
Right. Not traditionalist views. Correct?
Depends on how you define traditionalists or fundamentalists.
Meaning people who just want to take their own interpretation as opposed to those who are taking an orthodox interpretation of Islam.
We're getting way off topic. This is irrelevant to the point, though. What you're trying to do
directly to the point.
What you're trying to do is trying to say that if we can show any other factor, then we can say that's the cause of the interstate armed conflict. Okay, but that's not how that works.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you can't come to the conclusion that it is because of Islam that this is the reason. No,
Sorry, I have to respond to this because this was just a bad. This is not a good. Okay. This type of topic should have been handled by someone like Mehdi Hassan. No, Mehdi Hassan, although he's a good debater, he's done well online. He is not the kind of person we want handling this because he is not religious. He's a liberal. He's a secularist. Okay? He's a secularist. He doesn't care about what the religious text says, and he's willing to condemn it. So then both of them are secularists arguing about secularist societies. We don't care about that. We don't care. So is IP, I know, but we are trying to get to truth. If IP is being a secularist, we don't want to be a secularist like him. So we're not going to put two secularists to argue about whether Islam and Christianity is better for society. Okay? Because Mehdi Hassan is ready to drop and to throw under the bus what the Quran and the Sunnah say. He has no problem with it. So no, he's not the right person for this kind of debate.
It is one of the reasons.
Okay, yes, one of the reasons. Hold on. One of the reasons.
Thank you. It is one of the reasons. That's all I wanted.
In the same way that Christianity was one of the reasons why the Crusades happened, why it was one of the reasons why the Jews were persecuted and Muslims saved them afterwards. It goes the same way both ways.
That's one of the reasons.
In the same way that Christianity was one of the reasons.
Which is producing less conflict.
Depends on what time period you're talking about. Because if we're talking about back then, we were talking about the
Which has produced a society that has produced less conflict.
Depends on the time period, like I just said.
Okay, today, right now, which all of history together, which has produced societies that have less conflict?
Depends on which societies we're talking about still.
Islamic versus Christian.
Hold on. Because there are different Islamic and Christian societies, correct?
Which has produced less conflict?
Okay, fine. I'll answer your question. No problem. I'm going to compare Mexico and the UAE. UAE has definitely done it less.
Okay, so we're now gonna cherry pick samples here, guys.
Only today. Who is better, Christianity or Islam? Nice, man.
We just cherry pick because she knows that the Islamic society at large has produced worse countries with more child marriage, more consanguineous marriages, more abuse, and now more conflict. Okay, this is all coming out of Islam. And we just saw that. That's why this is what the data shows. At the end of the day, this is not a debate. This is just one of us talking about the numbers and one of us trying to get rid of the numbers.
Brazil's got those high numbers of consanguineous marriage as well, and it's a Christian country.
Okay.
Is Christianity a reason?
Who produces less?
Right, is Christianity a reason for that?
The whole point is that you're going based off of a particular Islamic country or a few particular ones. It's not the case in every single Islamic country.
I agree.
Good. So is it the case that it's like that in every single Christian country?
No.
Good. So then that can't be a factor to say one is better than or worse than the other.
Here's what you're not getting. When you factor in all the countries, you see this as a reoccurring thing where you're going to get more consanguineous marriages.
Yes,
you're
we
gonna
find
get
it in both
hold on, let
Christianity
me
and
finish.
Islam.
I just let you talk.
You find it in both.
I just let you talk. It's going to be okay.
Go ahead.
It's okay. We're still seeing that after that is all weighed. For example, you brought up Brazil, but there are other weighing factors there. So when we take all the Christian countries together, what are we going to get? Well, it doesn't see Christianity as a motivating factor. We see this as more cultural. But when we look at the Islamic societies, we still see it vastly there after it's weighed. So this still works against you.
Thank you for proving my point. You literally just proved my point.
My point that Islam is causing more problems?
My point is specifically that it cannot be tied to one particular thing, such as religion. And it cannot be a sufficient cause. Like you just said, when you were using the example of Brazil, you said culture, society, economics, all of these different things are factors, correct?
Right. Did I ever say that one
appeal to Brian fallacy?
Did I ever say that Islam is the only cause of these problems?
I didn't say only. I said
exactly.
sufficient
Thank
cause.
You.
You're literally
and you keep trying to.
Have I said only or I said sufficient?
That is completely irrelevant.
Thank you. It's literally not.
So you're strawmanning me.
I'm strawmanning.
Yes, you are.
That's literally been my point since the beginning of when you first started your argument.
Sufficient cause?
Yes.
Yeah, it is one of the sufficient causes.
Oh my God, that's not what a sufficient.
Oh my God, holy blunder. One of the sufficient causes? What in the sorcery does that mean? What the heck? Oh my God. One of the sufficient a sufficient cause by definition is a cause that in solitary, when it's alone in isolation, gives or produces the effect. How could you have one of the many sufficient causes? What are we talking about right now? What are we doing? This guy just blundered so hard. This guy is called Inspiring Philosophy, by the way. Inspiring Philosophy. One of the sufficient causes. Bro, this guy makes a blunder every other day. This guy doesn't know what a sufficient cause is. He does not know what a sufficient cause is. What are we doing right now? Yo, somebody clip this. Please, somebody clip this and put it on Twitter. This guy is supposed to be a philosopher, and he doesn't know what a sufficient cause is. What the heck?
Cause is a sufficient cause.
It out of existence.
No, a sufficient cause.
Primary number one.
No, not even primary number one. It's
Take it easy,
literally
what you're saying.
Okay, it literally means that it is sufficient. It is not. Nothing else is necessary in order for us to observe this particular thing to occur in a society.
And that's
that doesn't mean that other factors can't come into play and then increase this afterwards. Okay, what you're supposed to try and prove is that beyond 50%, let's say, okay, beyond a 50% chance that every single time we observe Islam in a society, that this is the case that it's going to occur, and then the more these other factors are brought into play, the more we're going to see this particular thing occur. But you haven't done that. All you're doing is picking at particular countries, particular rates, particular factors, and saying, oh, Islam is worse because of this. But then when we bring you to certain examples as it pertains to your own theology, as it pertains to your own book, as it pertains to the history of your beliefs, or not your beliefs specifically, but Christianity in general, you don't address those things because those same things can be observed in those same countries, same history, same books, etc. So you have to actually engage with some of this stuff instead of just saying, well, it was just Islam.
So once again, I am not, because I didn't perform the studies. The experts did. They had the weighed factors, and they found Islam is a contributing factor in these instances. It is definitely making societies more violent, causing more abuse, linked to more consanguineous marriages, more child marriage. These are all bad. And because of that, Islam is worse for societies. When we look at all the countries, what do we find? We don't just pick out UAE and Mexico. We look at all of them because we have recognized in these countries, there are other factors that are going to weigh those kinds of things. More wealth is going to cause less violence. Everyone agrees on that. But also, religious ideology is going to cause less or more violence. Religious ideology of Christianity, less, according to the research. Islam, more, according to the research. Go ahead.
Okay, so wealth is a cause of violence. So therefore, we should blame wealth. We should blame wealth. Someone wants to rob somebody else. So therefore, the problem is the money that he has.
What on earth are you talking about?
What I'm saying.
I ain't gonna lie. All right.
Here is that your argument is a bit ridiculous to me.
The study research is ridiculous.
What I'm saying here is that you're basically trying to blame Islam for certain things, and so it's no different than blaming money. Well, if someone wants to do a robbery, so you blame money for that.
Sir, I agree that if you have less wealth, if you have a society that has less wealth, Poverty is a contributing factor to more violence.
No, I'm
Okay? I agree with you there. However, religious ideology does as well. For example, you guys communists? Anyone communist here?
No.
Communism is bad, right? Okay. Communism is an ideology that produces far inferior economic progress. So if you have communism in Russia, where they have a ton of resources, they have inferior economic progress.
Okay, look.
If you have communism in Somalia, where they don't have as much resources,
Okay, maybe what Uncle meant to say is that wealth or poverty is a bad thing. Therefore, we should blame poverty. I don't know what he meant by wealth. Because the point is, wealth produces less violence, not more violence. That was the point. I'm not sure what Uncle meant there. Not really sure.
it's going to produce even worse results. So when you take an ideology and infuse it in society, it's going to affect outcomes. When you take Christianity and you infuse it in America, okay, it's going to produce better results than if you did it with Islam. Now, if you go to, for example, like Ethiopia, which is poorer, less resources, it's going to have worse results because of other factors. But ideology is still a contributing factor that's going to lead to more violence. That's my point. And by the way, I'm not saying that. The experts like Davis Brown are saying that. Monica Duffy-Toff, Jonathan Fox, these guys ran the numbers and they go, yep, Islam is definitely...
Oh, yeah, just like the experts said that the Roman Empire ended Rome, or the Ottoman Empire ended Rome. And then when I told you I'm not a historian, you started like laughing at me as if I'm supposed to be a historian. But now it's what the experts say, right? So when the experts say the Ottoman Empire ended Rome, you expect me to know the exact metric that professional historians use in order to determine that. It's not enough that the experts say it. But here, it's enough that the experts say it, right? Got it.
producing inferior societies because of things like conflict.
Okay. I just one small question. Do you think that if, for example, if we were to go back, let's say again in the history, okay, and we were to observe that certain Islamic states or areas were more affluent, more progressive, more etc., than Christian societies, where we observe things like, the Black Plague era or anything of the sort, whilst Islam has its thriving Islamic golden age, would you say that Islam is going to be better than those Christian societies overall?
Only if you can weigh out the other factors. Now, you brought up Black Death, and I would say no, because they're clearly suffering from a horrible epidemic.
But it's not the reason as to why they're suffering from this epidemic is also due to things in regards to their own ways and traditions, etc., and culture.
That can influence one of the ways.
Right. So but I'm asking you specifically, that was just one example, but I'm saying generally speaking, okay, as it pertains to those societies, we know that there are certain societies that were Christian, that were affluent, and there were certain Islamic societies that you can't negate were also affluent and contributed many major things towards societies, correct? Do you at least agree with that?
Do I agree that Islamic societies have contributed?
Certain aspects of Islamic societies have contributed to beneficial things to society. Okay, good. Yeah. So there are certain times where those Islamic societies, for example, there is I could bring you the reference if you'd like. But essentially, there was two teachers in the Catholic Church where they got so worried to the point where they didn't want their students to be learning from individuals such as Averroes and Avicenna, the Islamic philosophers, because they felt like they were going to fall away from their faith due to the fact that they were so intellectually advanced. They were seen as geniuses, basically, of their time. And there are many other individuals who are like that. You have Al-Khwarizmi, you have Zuwahiri, the father of surgery, the father of algorithms, etc., etc. All of these people have contributed major things, and inarguably in their time period, right, Islam was better than Christianity for society. Would you agree with that?
No.
Oh, you don't agree? So Christianity, when it was suffering, was better than Islam.
My goodness, they won't let me. I try to say it, and I try to expound. They won't do it. No, because I already told you there are contributing factors that are going to weigh those kinds of things. Right. We can't take time machines back and do those. We can do those studies today, and we see that Christianity is producing better societies. So when you go into places like Europe, for example, during the Muslim Golden Age, you have to factor in all sorts of things like environmental aspects coming from the north, like more cold weather, okay? Those kinds of, like Norman invasions as well, okay? These are contributing factors. Mm-hmm. So you just want to say, you want to do what's called a bivariate means comparison. You know what that is? Yeah. Okay, great. You just want to say, okay, we're observing...
Yo, this guy is such a hypocrite. So when the Christians don't bathe, they live in literal shit. They don't have any hygiene. When they're living in mud huts, this is not because of Christianity, it's because of other factors. We have to look at the other factors. But when Muslims are less economically advanced, it's Islam. It's not the you guys see the hypocrisy here?
Progress during this Muslim Golden Age, we're not observing it there, therefore Islam is better. That's a bivariate means comparison. That's not a multivariable analysis. Okay. You can't do that multivariable analysis, but we can today. And what do we see? Islam is producing inferior societies. So at the end of the day, when we take the collection of history up to today, Christianity has produced better societies. That's just a fact. That's what the data shows.
Let's let you guys do closing statements.
Okay. At the end of the day, there's a difference here. I'm citing data. I'm citing experts. And they're showing, yes, Islam is producing inferior societies. We got concessions here. You guys are okay with child marriage. Okay, that's wrong. There's more child marriage in the Middle East and North Africa in Islamic societies. You agree there's more cousin marriage in those societies. That produces negative results. So does all the child marriage. You agreed that societies that produce more abuse are bad. Guess what? The data shows Muslim communities and societies have more abuse. You agreed that more conflict is bad. Guess what? Muslim societies produce more conflict. So it doesn't matter what you say. At the end of the day, this is not even a debate. I'm just presenting the data. You guys don't like the data. That's fine. I choose to follow the data.
Beautiful. Yeah, so just a quick comment on that. What we're showing is that your standard is arbitrary, right? So we didn't sort of say that, hey, we're saying that they're completely wrong. We're saying that it's going to be pseudo-scholarship. Why is it pseudo-scholarship? Because it's going to be referenced at a specific time period where we see other socio-economic factors within these countries that would lead to these conclusions. Therefore, simply saying that Islam is going to be some kind of factor is not going to be enough, right? Why? Because if we're going to be just and we're looking at history, we can look at other sample sizes where there's going to be the time that Christianity is going to be worse according to our own standard. So this debate shows the double standard, right? All we're saying is, hey, look, when you look at the standard, when you look at Christianity and Islam, throughout history, we say Islam will be better. What we're saying is that you're looking at a specific sample at a specific time is going to be pseudo-scholarship. Not necessarily that these papers are wrong. That's what we're saying, right? If you can take over, go ahead.
Four closing statements?
To be fair.
You want to go?
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so very simply, I don't think you actually understood some of the conventions that we brought to you. It was very clear when I kept saying sufficient the entire time, and you didn't get what I meant by sufficient, even though I clarified it multiple times. When it comes to the sufficiency of Islam and whether or not it is the main or contributing factor, right, that's the point that you actually have to address. It's not about whether or not it occurs in these particular societies, because as you already agreed, it occurs in other Christian societies as well, and it occurred in the past as well in Christian societies. So the appeal or the idea that it's occurring solely or more so in the Islamic societies is not going to be the case, because as you said, there's going to be more particular factors that go into that, such that we don't observe the same thing occurring in Islamic societies that occur without these rates, okay, or without these particular factors. Now, in terms of what you were saying before about the historicity aspect, I'm not only comparing one being affluent versus one being, in a particular stricken hardship or anything of the sort. Obviously, there are other factors that come into play, and obviously, we can't observe every single one of those factors in the same way we can't observe every single factor today. We do it to the best of our ability. So whether it's back then, whether it's now, you observe things or you observe data based off of the most things that you could extract out of it in its totality, right? So we can come to a conclusion that at some point, right, it could have been the case that Islamic societies were better than Christian societies due to X, Y, Z reasons, right? In the same way that you're trying to cite these different sources now, where such that you're even though I don't even think that it's proper or has a good basis, you're saying that because of these particular factors that Islamic societies are worse, but you're not factoring in other things that could be worse in Christian societies but better in Islamic ones. For example, unity in regards to households, when it comes to actual individuals holding to the theology, whereas you keep saying Christian West has a huge decline in regards to the religiosity aspect overall. This is like a rarity here, all of these people in this room. So yeah, like I said, there are certain factors that could be highlighted in terms of Islamic societies that are bad, but the same thing can be said for Christian societies as well, quote unquote Christian societies. But yeah.
I think that a lot of this debate was mostly just about you choosing arguments that I think are explicitly found in the Bible and then rejecting them and then using the argument that, well, it's not in the New Covenant, even though that Jesus explicitly does say that it is in Matthew 5:17-19. And he says to follow everything in the law and that they last eternally. And then in Matthew 23:1-3, he affirms everything of the law to his disciples, telling them to follow and keep. The Greek literally saying keep and observe all that they say. Granting, that's not referring to man-made traditions. Even so, that would still be referring to the laws of the Torah to be followed today. So I just think that most of this debate was mostly just rejecting what the Bible teaches and arguing that Christians just don't really follow the bad verses in the Bible.
So my perception is that much of this conversation was a lot of theatrics, and it just generated emotion. The thing is that from the Islamic perspective, is that God sent forth the Prophet Muhammad to a society, actually to the whole world, but he emerges in a society which had so many social problems. It had infanticide, female infanticide. It had worship while naked. It had worship of idols. It had worship of food items. It had many social problems. And the Prophet Muhammad's teachings not only reform that society, but becomes a genesis for a new civilization. And this is really the most important aspect. So arguing about small details here and there are really irrelevant into the big picture. The big picture is that Islam revived interest in the scientific field. Islam revived interest in philosophy. Islam became the foundation for progress for the world.
Thank you guys. That was awesome.
All right. That was a decisive victory for the Muslims. There's no doubt about that. What do you guys think in the comments? Let's be honest. Let's not be biased. My unbiased opinion, honest to God, is that IP got destroyed. And the one who performed best on the Muslim side was Itachi. That's my genuine opinion, at least. Saddam, can you refute Critical Vision TV? I'll check them out. I don't know them, but yeah, I'll check them out. If how he phrased the study is how the actual study was actually done, it was poorly designed. I read the scientific studies from middle school. Okay, well, he's known to misinterpret studies anyway. How do I rebut the claim that the Father's Son is the only possible divine relationship that a father would have? So the Father doesn't beget except the Son. Lord have mercy. Fatherhood assumes sonship. Fatherhood assumes a relation of paternity and filiation. You understand? But why is God a father? That is a literal father devoid of a metaphor. Like, what kind of... You guys are falling for the poetry, man. Stop falling for the poetry. Stop falling for the poetry. You can't say that the first person is a father unless he has a son. Why is he a father rather than not? Inspiring has to show the percentage of genetic defects. Well, it doesn't matter because, like I said, it's just hypocritical. He's not actually critiquing Christian or Christian societies. He's critiquing Western societies. Islam produces us like people in house. Islam will have to order over 1,000 years. Not to mention that there's Muslim found. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's obvious. Doesn't say to do it. The Bible does. Yes, absolutely. I mentioned this. Christianity, God died for the men and women have to be redeemed through childbearing. Yes, that's right. 1 Timothy 2:15. There are literally gay pastors in the West and the U.S. Yes, that just shows that they're moving away from their traditional text. One woman with 4 kids and 4 different fathers. Welcome to the West. A lot of gay marriages in the West and the U.S. How the hell those countries are Christian values? Exactly, because they're not Christian nations. They're not Christian societies in any meaningful sense. By the way, Khalifa Omar fulfilled the prophecy of Zechariah 9:9 when a humble ruler rode into Jerusalem on a donkey. Yes, that's right. Karen specified it was after the caliphate fell. Yep. Peace be upon you, my brother. I advise you to take Indian Kostu or Kustal Hindi. You will be cured with Mishra special asthma. I'll check it out. Let me take a picture of it. Thank you for that. Saint IP, a founder of Church of All Inclusive Church. It's crazy. He was actually arguing at Speaker's Corner with a guy against a state that is ruled by the church and against blasphemy laws against the church. How are they supposed to check virginity if it's 32,000 tough numbers? We all know the answer to that one. These anti-Islam apologists already gave me shubhat on my own academia and scholarly method and also discourse. Am I rational with my approach? I can't tell if you're being serious, bro. Not only does she say she was not shot on her own account, the narration is also hers, both narration and retrospective. Exactly. Assalamu alaikum, brother. Is research done on the effects of heat and puberty, prolonged exposure to heat, linked with earlier? Yeah, I've seen those studies. I've seen them. IP is getting touched. Better believe it. Anything harmful is forbidden. Yep. Exodus 21, 7-11 allows fathers to sell their free daughters into the adult slave market as their shop. I mean, it's crazy. He'll throw all of this under the bus. He'll throw all of it under the bus. Prophetic hadith: virgins aren't to be married until they're consulted. Compare this with the Bible: no harm to be caused or reciprocated. Yep, exactly. It's all in there. It's all in there. So he has no leg to stand on in terms of critiquing. IP has learned how to be in this round, lost intellectual honesty after surrendering his soul to IP wasn't like this before. He just became like this when he became friends with the Salam al-Masih group. No wonder he employed Tan. Yeah, they're both sus together. Synoptic New Testament: Jesus confirmed every letter of the Old Testament, condemned whoever changed it, the least saw in the kingdom of heaven. That's aside from being supposedly God who revealed it. Yeah, but no, you don't even have to go there. The point that God revealed it shows that it's morally and inherently good. Wasn't legal age of marriage in Texas 7 years old until 100 years old? Yes, that's right. Other than to mention one single bad thing that happened to Elijah's marriage with the prophet, they will be frozen. Exactly, which goes against his very point of harm. And test the officers till they reach the age of marriage. If you send them sound judgment, pay their money well. Yes, the Quran makes it explicit that sound judgment and maturity are conditions of marriage. Specifies what dreams is the standard for when permission needs to be sought before entering the room. Yes, that's right. The West peaked with America, and America was founded by deists, founding fathers who explicitly spoke down Christianity. Jefferson said it is the most perverted system that ever shown man. Yeah, exactly. He doesn't. He's not gonna. He knows all that. He's just dishonest. He just conceded that Islamized the Old Testament and Testament without continuity. Exactly. He's been doing that throughout the whole debate. IP pushing Zionist propaganda by saying Muslims protecting against Jews. As Mossad didn't cause the 30,000 of Muslims to push Jews to Israel. Yep. Big fan from Nigeria. We Muslims very appreciate you. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the support. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. For sticking around. Appreciate you guys, man. And I'll see you guys in tomorrow's live stream with the reaction to the debate. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Go watch the Morocco game. Morocco 2, Brazil 1. That's my prediction. Assalamu alaikum.